Mm. Mm. All right. Greetings, family. This is Cassandra-Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I'm going to get started with the reading of the global conspiracy to right all wrongs with the included addendum. What I'm going to do tonight is actually add that addendum. So those of you who have already purchased via my Etsy store, the original conspiracy and would like to have the addendum, just email me at EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com and I will send that to you right away. And then those of you who have not yet gotten the entire global conspiracy to right all wrongs, that also includes the details for how to conduct the ritual aspect of it, email me at EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com and then make sure that you specify that you need the conspiracy ritual. Okay? All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the global conspiracy to right all wrongs. We are the breakers of curses, pastors of glorious conspiracies, and the creators of the new world. I, Cassandra-Floyd, am a divine instrument of my mother's divine will. As such, I am protected and guided by the sacred blood and water of my mother, Jacqueline Jeanette Cook's body, that anointed my entry into this life. I am divine because she is divine. Mommy and I are one. I call all of our mothers to this moment. I call on they who govern everything, all time and every space in between. She with 10,000 names. Today it is Oya, Yemaya, Oshun, Iyami Ajay, divine architects of existence, usheresses of the new age. Mommy and I are one. I call upon the divine ancestors in the ashe of every mother on earth to break every curse ever cast upon the mother and her children in all timelines and in every dimension. Mommy and I are one. We, the mother's divine children, conspire together today to forever bind those who have or would harm you, great mother. Mommy and I are one. We conspire together today to destroy everything and everyone in every timeline and dimension that is caused suffering and despair. Mommy and I are one. Today, we embody the sacred and divine power of our mothers. Today, we the tree, we the weavers, rewrite all time. Today, we the tree, we the weavers, rewrite the book of life. Today, we our mother's children call the winds of change. We conjure the primordial dark. We summon the sacred serpent deep from within the earth. We subdue the rogue sun. We control the light. We heal the harm. We embolden the fearful. We instill courageous action. Today, we are staging a global evolution as is our mother's divine will. Mommy and I are one. We, the architects of the new age, now create the new institutions, the new traditions, the new culture, the new ways of being. We ecstatically welcome the radical destruction of all institutions of hate and harm erected by the godheads of war. Mommy and I are one. We have the power. We have the voice. We are the portals of change. Now we employ our sacred breath and we give life and sacred blood to this conspiracy. Mommy and I are one. We command, come the wind, come the storm, come the lightning, capture and judge all godheads of war and all betrayers of the mother's divine will. Bring their confusion and war to an immediate end. Scatter them to oblivion, never to be resurrected. We are the fates. We are the furies. We are the Iyami Ajay. We are the disseminators of divine time, divine retribution, divine rectification, and evolutionary justice. We are the restorers of heaven on earth under the mother's divine reign. We wake the sacred serpent from her sleep to assist us in this sacred assignment. Love unlimited is our birthright. Harmony is our birthright. Ecstasy is our birthright. Pleasure is our birthright. Freedom is our birthright. This is her divine will. We are the divine executors of her will. We speak her will into the now to reverberate throughout all time, all space, and all dimensions. It is certainly, as we say, forever and ever, Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. I'm going to, yes, add to this, the addendum. First of all, we say in the addendum, it is working. It's working. It's working. The global conspiracy to right all wrongs is working. The conspiracy we cast on November 19th of 2024 is still reverberating. Now it's time to focus on the reclamation of what is ours. Run us our money. Run us our money. Run us our money. Run us our lands. Run us our lives. Run us our unpaid and underpaid labor all the way back through our ancestral lines. Run us our stolen money in the form of being chronically overtaxed. Run us our social wealth in the forms of the stolen lives of young people who have lost their lives to the prison's industrial complex. Run us our money for the planned premature deaths of all of our communities due to environmental racism. Run us our stolen collective wealth from all the black cities that were destroyed and erased from history. Run us, hey, don't start, boy. Run us our reparations from the era of lynchings and legal murder that continue to today. Vengeance, justice, vengeance, justice, vengeance, and retribution is ours. Run us our happiness, run us our pleasure, run us our peace. We destroy every single obstacle to our abundance, to our sovereignty, to our pleasure, to our ecstasy, to our joy, our harmonious lives, and our joyful reunion with our Divine Mother. We are her blade. We are her shield, her axe, her hammer, her fire, her arrows. All billionaires and their descendants and all their connections and supporters are judged guilty. All organizations and corporations on earth who have or continue to harm, to continue to cause all suffering, harm, and despair are judged guilty. All slave owners and their descendants and colonizers, past, present, and future, are judged guilty. Every politician who has lied, betrayed, schemed to exploit are now judged guilty. Every religious leader, preacher, teacher who has caused harm in any way, especially the children, are judged guilty. Everyone who has contributed to or participated in the deliberate harming of children, child care, foster care systems, medical systems, psych systems, child trafficking, ritualistic, religious harm, breeding of children during slavery, or the commodification of children in any way, you are judged most guilty with most severe punishment. Everyone who has or currently supports genocide, colonization, slavery, oppression, femicide, infanticide are judged guilty. The Roman Catholic Church is judged guilty. Judaism is judged guilty. Islam is judged guilty. Buddhism is judged guilty. Hinduism is guilty. Cults that have caused harm to women and children are judged guilty. Governments are judged guilty. Patriarchy is judged guilty. All murderers and rapists are judged guilty. All harm causing doctors, scientists, white collar criminals, presidents, kings, rulers, emperors, queens, nobility, popes, imams, rabbis, philosophers, magicians, magi are judged guilty. To all those judged guilty, your punishment will suit your crimes times 999, as this is the mother's divine judgment, her divine will. Redemption is possible for some, but the cost for redemption is equal to the sum of your crimes and transgressions. We now call the Furies to carry out our judgment harshly, publicly, and with undeniable evidence that this is our mother's will be done. It is certainly, as we say, forever and ever, throughout all timelines, throughout every dimension, and all space in between. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Child, that addendum, I be feeling that deep in my spirit. I'm not gonna lie. I be feeling it deep in my spirit. Woo! Listen, deep in my spirit. Let me tell you something about yourself, Holistic Harmony 1111. Let me tell you something about you. Baby, you have derailed my whole day. In a good way, but your ass has derailed my whole day. I have been up in this bitch subdued, okay? Subdued. Ooh, listen, subdued, okay? Listen, it's so, I do not know what is happening with you people, okay? But for the last 2 weeks, so many people have been sending me so many timestamps from The Great Cosmic Mother and from Pure Lust. Those two books exclusively. Y'all have been on one, so I don't know what is happening in the universe that these two books have decided that they need to reestablish themselves in high circulation. Baby, that reading from Pure Lust today that you kept putting timestamps in, Holistic Harmony 1111, had me up in my feels today, baby. I was quite tempted. I was quite tempted to reread that whole section tonight because ooh, 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 god damn. Woo, child, that shit had me in my feelings today. But there's so much I want to talk to you about. I had to prioritize. I was like, all right, what I need to do is just tell y'all to take y'all asses back. Trust what I'm telling you. Take your asses back to the video that is called Part 3 of Pure Lust. Look in the comment section for that video because Holistic Harmony 1111 put a bunch of timestamps. And if you already have the book, or if you was rocking with me when I read the book and you want to revisit those things, I typed in the comment section the page numbers that corresponded with the timestamps that she put up in there. Because baby, woo, woo, child, let me tell you. Let me tell you. I was up in here. Let me just tell you about the police too. Let me tell you about the police. Let me tell you about the state. I got up on this it's 8:47. Except to go get my cats from outside, I have not left this seat. I sat down at this chair to do a live at 4 o'clock. When I was creating the live, my computer crashed. Now my computer is relatively new. Like I've already had it serviced once. And that was only a year ago that I had my computer serviced. But I bought the computer brand new 3 years ago. My computer crashed today while trying to create a live. It crashed again when I got back on to create the live. 3 times it did that. It didn't like crash with all of my regular laptop stuff, data entry and shit like that. It was only the internet. 3 times kaput every time I tried to create a live. I have been sitting here in this seat since 4 o'clock trying to create a live. I know it's not me, and I'm not being paranoid. I'm going to take my computer back tomorrow to this dude I just met, who his whole business is to like service computers and phones. And this is my last ditch effort before I am convinced that everything that has been happening for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks with my computer is straight up police shit. And I am hearing this more and more from others that like a lot of the time the shit is slow rolling, like we back in 1996 when you was just waiting for forever for some shit to load, and the only thing that you ain't got is the little rolling around screen thing. You feel me? Fortunately or unfortunately, whatever, we'll be transitioning out of Mercury. We will be transitioning out of Mercury retrograde tomorrow. So we'll see if that has any impact. I find it highly unlikely because our opposition is running scared. You feel me? And so they is messing with our ability to communicate freely with each other. You feel me? Those of us who got swords as tongues, they are hyper focused on us. You feel me? So we shall see. We shall see. I really wanted to. I pulled my Pure Lust out today because I was like, I gotta read something from Pure Lust, but I'm gonna tell you I can't. So go back to part 3 of the reading of Pure Lust and just listen to the whole thing. Listen, it's shorter than my videos have been. So I would say do it while you're washing dishes or while you in the shower, like I did this morning. That's what I was listening to when I took a shower today. You feel me? Whatever, whatever. Go back to the book Pure Lust, part 3. That's the name of the video. Part 3, Pure Lust. Listen to that because there was a whole so currently relevant word up in that bitch to several currently relevant words up in the joint today. Okay. For those of you who are joining me on TikTok, my name is Cassandra-Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates. You can also watch live on my YouTube channel. I'm dual streaming through my YouTube channel. And you can do that. Go to YouTube and put in the search engine at Daughter of the Fates, Fates, Daughter of the Fates. Okay. So you can contact me at EvoEmeTemp at gmail.com, EvoEmeTemp at gmail.com for any questions. I am not being mean. I am not being rude. I really, really appreciate when you people take the time to email me, but please, please respect my time. I am digging myself out of a mountain of emails as we speak. And more often than not, I get it and I understand why. I really, really do. But as the channel grows and as more and more people come into contact with me, it is becoming more and more difficult. In the absence of a team right now, it is becoming more and more and more difficult for me to keep in on the front end of my emails. Please do not send me dissertations. Please do not send me whole life stories, but in your excitement. I hate even saying that because it sounds fucked up, but it's really not fucked up. I sat up in here today for several hours just respond, and you know I'm going to read them. That's my affliction. I'm a goddamn Virgo with a Capricorn moon. I'm going to read your emails. So please, I may take a little time responding because I am literally clawing my way up out of a mountain of emails. But please, please do not send me paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of emails. Please don't. Just don't. I see more and more content creators, especially those who have something of substance to say to the many. I see more and more like astrologers and diviners and spiritual people who are like genuine people saying the same thing, that they have had to stop receiving emails. They've had to stop taking emails because it's just too much. It takes up a literal whole day of time to respond to emails. And none of us have it like that. None of us have it like that. Give us the Cliff's Notes version. You understand what I'm saying? Give us the Cliff's Notes version of what it is you know you want to communicate, and then book the time so that our attention is 100% devoted to you in that time. Like today, I just had a sister reach out today who is saying she doesn't want a divination and she doesn't want a consultation. She wants to have my ear for an hour. And I'm like, I like that. I like that. She says, so I'm gonna book a session, but I just want to tell you, before we get to talking, that I don't need a divination. I just want to have your undivided attention for an hour. That is what you call a healthy respect and reverence for someone's time. So please just be mindful of that. I've had people, and I, again, do not want it to sound like any way other than me as a person with a Capricorn moon, and y'all know how we be with our time. You feel me? And then with me being a Virgo on top of it, we want to be the humanitarian. We want to do all the things for everybody. And I don't have it like that. I don't have it like that right now. So just please, please have a healthy respect for my time. Holistic Harmony 1111 say Cliff's Notes only. Thank you. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Okay. I had a great 8/8 portal weekend. I hope that you all did too. I was so tired. I was so tired. And I was literally having to stage a contest with myself to meet my commitments, to do the things that I had agreed to do. And then the day of, I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I want to stay in my bed and eat mint chocolate chip ice cream and watch TV while I cuddle with my cats. I don't want to do shit. But you know, there is something for us to win this month. And I'm like, I got to be out here winning it. And the only way I'm going to win it is to be seen, bitch. The only way I'm going to win it is to be out here staging a contest with my adversary. You dig? The only way I'm going to win what I want to win for us, what I want to win for myself, what I want to win for my family, what I want to win for the greater whole. Because we have to be out here creating, chaos. And you can't create chaos sitting in your motherfucking house. You cannot create chaos. And I'm talking about healthy chaos. You cannot be out here. You can't create chaos sitting in front of your laptop. You feel me? So even though whatever version of myself that was doing it was staging a contest, girl, you know you just want to stay at home and binge watch some TV, you feel me, and get that bottle of wine out the refrigerator and your mint chocolate chip ice cream and be up in here lounging on your day off. And Spirit was like, bitch, it's 8-8 portal. Segment is in the motherfucking house, bitch. You better get your ass up. You better be cute. Get your ass up. Put your best foot forward so you can seize territory out this bitch today. And it paid off. It really, really did. It really, really did. It really, really did. I went to this event on the 8-8 portal day. There was so much. It was a very small event. There might have been 20 people total. But there was so much coming down. Thank you for the donation, Java Watson, my dear. There was so much coming through in this, so much in this little event. And it was little, and everybody there was young, like my baby age young. Everybody there was like 24 to maybe 32. I think that was probably about the oldest person there was about 32, other than my 50-year-old self. Everybody else was like my baby's age. You feel me? And so, there was just so much I learned from this event. And not in terms of content, but in terms of like these natural interventions that happen when you come into space with other people. So I was just there as a vendor, but the young woman that invited me had come to a couple of my workshops that I have broadcast live here. Like she came to the talisman, the creation of the talismans workshop that I did a couple months ago, and she came to the same location for the what was the workshop? It was the doctrine of the signatures and other ways plants talk to people. So she came to both of those workshops, and so she invited me to be a vendor. I didn't make no money, but again, it was like there were just things that happened. So for example, she allowed me to do the global conspiracy to right all wrongs between people that she actually had on the schedule to perform or do whatever it was that they did. You feel me? And it's interesting because I do what I do. I said I ain't gonna hog. Thank you for the donation, Balanced Justice. I love the emoji. I love the dancing bears. So I did what I did. I knew I only had about 5 minutes, so I ran down the line. You feel me? Because when I say conspiracy, people automatically go, "What she mean conspiracy?" Right? And so I ran down real quick. In the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, we don't pray, we conspire. We don't cast spells, we cast conspiracies. The reason why is because the true etymology of the word conspiracy is to breathe together a sacred oath to ensure a desired outcome. That's what it means. And the origin of the word used to ensure a desired outcome. That's what it means. And the origin of the word used to refer to what musicians do. They come together to breathe a sacred oath. What's the oath? The music. What's the oath? Their particular role in the creation of music. You feel me? That word did not until relatively recent in human history, the word did not have a negative connotation. The word meant the coming together, and it typically referred to people who played horns or people who sang, coming together to breathe a sacred oath to ensure a desired outcome. Well, what's the desired outcome with a musician? A singular piece of music with everybody's peculiar part contributing to the one. Everybody's peculiar part, everybody's specific part, everybody's peculiar role in the creation of something singular. Do you understand what I'm saying? The word is conspiracy. The word is conspiracy. Conspiracy, right? And so I ran down the line quick. And then, and then the other part of the line that I ran down is, why do we need to cast conspiracies? Right? If a conspiracy means to breathe together to ensure a singular outcome, a certain outcome, certain as in it is so because we say it's so. Do you understand? A guaranteed outcome, right? And I said, why do we need to cast conspiracies? Why do we need to be casting conspiracies? I said, because this is the power that we still control completely. We still control. We can bridle our tongue or we can let our tongue loose. Based on what is sitting up in here will determine what we let loose up the fuck out of here. You feel me? What are we letting loose every time we open our mouth? What are we letting loose on the world every time we open our mouth? What are we creating every time we open our mouth? Because every single solitary word you utter is something you are creating, whether you are consciously creating or unconsciously creating. Something is being created every time you open your mouth. Think about it like this. When somebody is on the brink of death, when somebody is on the brink of death, you heard? When somebody is on the brink of death, say they drowned and they done stop breathing because their lungs is full of water. Are they dead? Are they dead? Are they dead? Even though they didn't stop breathing, are they dead? No, because we all know, even if we don't have a medical background, that we have a certain period of time through which we can intervene. How? With our breath. With our breath. That we can take our sacred breath and restore life to one who has seemingly lost life, who has become inanimate. Who has become inanimate. Now, do not get technical with me, you people who have a medical background. Yes, I know that you can just do chest compressions, but specifically for somebody who got lungs full of water, you are going to take that little mouthpiece and force air into the lungs to try to force the water out of the lungs. You are literally using, the stories say it over and over and over again. Every story of creation, whether it's Prometheus shaping human beings out of clay. They weren't human beings yet, though, were they? They weren't human beings just because he took some Play-Doh, you feel me, and shoot. What did it say he had to do? He had to send them humans to Mount Olympus. Thank you for the donation, Holistic Health 1111. He had to send them up to Mount Olympus for Zeus to breathe his sacred breath into them to give them life. Whether it's Adam being shaped and molded from clay and then having to have God himself, because it say, let us create man in our own image. You can debate about what that us means. But at the end of the day, he did the shaping, and then that didn't make them alive just because he shaped them. He had to breathe life into them. Story after story after story after story that is evidentiary of how all cultures and all ancient people, Hindu and Chinese and Japanese and Southeast Asian and all over Africa and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Ashe is that same concept. Pranayama is that same concept. That there is some, as a matter of fact, in the practice of pranayama, it is said that a person can live for 30 days without food, and a person can live for about 3 days without water, and a person can live for up to 2 minutes without air, but a person cannot live a single moment without pranayama. That is the extra. That is the thing. That is the missing magical ingredient. Prana, ashe, chi, what's another word? All of those things exists in the inhale and exhale. It is why trees rely on us to live and we rely on trees to live. It is why the outer expansion of the canopy of the trees looks like a macrocosm of the what we call the canopy within our chest, which is the lungs, that look just like trees, that look literally just like that. If you were standing up under a bunch of trees, they would look just like the little alveoli in your lungs. Do you understand? I see you, Java Watson. I'm just trying to give y'all a word, because when my little presentation at the 8-8 portal, bang, and these are young people, right? And so everybody's summation, like during their meditations, and they're talking about the importance of the breath and sit still in your breath and all of, and that's cool, no shade. I'm just saying, for me, there is a depth through which we must dive headfirst into the understanding of the shit we be talking about. Otherwise, it is void, and it is vacant, and it is missing something deep and profound. So I say what I say. You understand? Be mindful of how you expend your precious prana, your precious ashe, your precious chi, your precious life force that is embodied in every single solitary breath that you take. Because in every single solitary breath that you take and you expend is essence. It's life force embodied in it. That thing that you speak every single solitary time you open your mouth has the potential. The Bible says it. Y'all love the Bible so much. The Bible says it. Both life and death are in the tongue. Both life and death are in the tongue. This is an acknowledgement of old Eastern philosophy about the power of what is behind the word that you speak. What is making that word a living force with the ability to actually impact and change the material world, y'all. And I don't know how many ways I can communicate that shit, but I really want to win that with you. I really want to win it with you. We see it over and over and over again when we talk about the studies of what's his name? Masaru Emoto, I think that's his name, Dr. Masaru Emoto. Hold on. Yes. In hidden messages in water, the hidden messages in water, right? And we get stuck on the water because it's such a radical and amazing thing. Like, oh my God, the water can be changed at the molecular level by our thoughts and our words and us saying words and what the word says. Is it a good word? Is it a bad word? Da, 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 da. So much attention paid to the water and the images of the water and the capturing of the images of the water, but nowhere near as much time is spent in here talking about the why the word impacts the water the way that it does. Nowhere near enough time and scientific what's the word I'm looking for, observation about what it is behind the breath that has the ability to change the entire molecular structure of water. You understand what I'm saying? You feel me? And so, and why am I telling you that every breath you speak, what did the police say? What does Sting say? Every breath you take, every move you make. I'm just saying, everything we let loose out of our lips is having an impact on the material world. Why is it having an impact on the material world? Is it just some ambiguous metaphysical understanding that we all just accept? Hell no. It's science, bitch. Dr. Masaru Emoto taught us that our words, even our thoughts, because there was a whole section of the study, right? A whole section of the study that focused on people not even saying a word out loud, thinking a word together and holding hands and focusing on that glass of water and it changing the molecular structure, right? Or writing the word on a piece of paper and it changing the molecular structure of the water. Cool, fine, whatever. I'm talking about the breath. And this means something. When I say that every word you loose out of your mouth has an impact on the material world, why would that be the case? Well, one, your ass is 86% water. Every word that you loose out of your mouth is changing your material experience. So is what you're saying something that is thoughtful and deliberate and ecstatic and confident and certain about the future? Or is everything that you are loosing out of your lips the woe is me regurgitation of all of the ails of the past, bound to secure that? And if the words that you let loose out of your mouth is changing your material experience because it's having an impact on the very real water that is 86% of your makeup, then your behavior based on these words that you speak out loud and you believe is going to impact the material world, because you are going to move and function in a way in the material world that is emblematic of that shit that you've let loose out of your mouth. Not only that, this is a multiplicity of things happening at the same time. You are influencing the water of your body, the majority of your body, which is water. But not only that, bitch, you're speaking underwater. What you think the air you breathing is? What do you think the air that you are breathing is? What do you think? What do you think that is? Bitch, is water. You breathing underwater. You breathing underwater. Yes, you are. You're breathing underwater. Remember our whole lecture on E equals MC squared and how energy and mass are one. They're the same thing in two different personifications. One is solid, observable mass, and the other is energy. That water having evaporated into gas that you cannot see, but is still ever present. Because what do they say about water? It can neither be created nor destroyed, only transformed. You feel me? Energy is matter. Matter is energy. That's the yin and yang. They are one, and a myriad of personifications. They are one in a myriad of personifications. So when you are speaking, when you breathing, you are breathing oxygen with two little hydrogen molecules attached to make it so that your ass don't burn up, because oxygen is combustible. You need the little hydrogen atoms attached to the oxygen that you breathe in. That's why it's water. H2O. H2O is what you are breathing. You just say it's oxygen. H2O is what you are breathing. The only way you could benefit from it without dying prematurely. You feel me? Because them little oxygen tanks that the old people get, they say don't sit around breathing on that tank every day. You just do it when you need it every once in a while, because oxygen is combustible, meaning it can cause oxidation internally. Now, I ain't trying to get that deep on y'all, but I needed to say that because the 8/8 portal day, I do my little presentation. You feel me? about being mindful of your words. This is the one thing you still have as your primary defense mechanism, your primary tool, your primary weapon against this proliferation of bullshit vying for your attention. There is a mountain of bullshit vying for your attention. And as it stands, you're giving all your attention to this mountain of bullshit. You are not speaking a single solitary word in unison of bitch, not one step back. If that's all you can say every day. What did I say today to myself? Because I sent a bunch of y'all a little, like a little video or whatever. And the video, I don't even remember the content. It was one of the myriad of ways that the Trump administration has y'all terrorized to hell and back, as if you have no power. So all they got to do is say some bullshit and ass bullshit about a Project Esther, or some bullshit and ass bullshit about a Project 2025, or some bullshit and ass bullshit about some person in a position of power trying to take us back to slavery, or whatever. And instead of you saying nothing else but, if you make a video about the thing, start with this. Look at this bullshit and ass bullshit. These dudes is so desperate. They don't know, but we gonna tell them today, not one step back. Evolution always, forward always, not one step back. Not the fuck on our watch. That's it. That's the only response to any bullshit you hear these days. For the rest of the time, forever, forward forever, not one step back. That's the mantra. Forever forward, not one step back. Not to motherfucking day. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's the line. Forever and ever and ever. Forever forward. Our mother guarantees us evolutionary leaps forward. What does evolution guarantee? Always a better version of ourselves. Always a better version of the world. Always a better, more improved, in harmonious union with the one, with the earth, with the plants, with the animals. When we live cyclically with our mother, she always guarantees every single solitary day a better version of who we were from the day before. You think I'm lying? You think I'm exaggerating? Why do you need 8 hours of sleep? Because your mother has embedded in your body the perfect self-repair mechanism. And it needs that 8 minimum hours of sleep, deep REM state sleep. So all of those nutrients that you produce yourself, all of those hormones you produce yourself, all those neurotransmitters you produce on your own, but only in a state of rest. Growth hormone that you only produce, the healthy type, yourself when you are in a deep state of sleep for a minimum of 3 hours between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. And if your ass is turned up in the club 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days out of the week throughout your whole 20s, you aren't getting the benefit of this perfectly primed self-defense and self-repair mechanism that always guarantees that when you wake, all of the information you collected from the day before, all the new people you met from the day before, all the new experiences that you had the day before, and all of the work that you did the day before is now being integrated. It's now being processed in your brain to make new synaptic connections to ensure that when the sun penetrates the horizon in the morning, you will be a new and improved, better version of yourself, because all of these experiences that you had the day before guarantees it so. That's why science is so important in these spiritual spaces. I ain't trying to hear no motherfucking spiritual leader that's not a goddamn scientist. I ain't trying to hear it. I'm not trying to hear what you're talking about, because everything that you say is superfluous. It's off the fuck there somewhere. How is this embodied? How is a practice that you develop embodied, internalized? How does it become a part of your flesh in a way that makes it so that you ain't even questioning no shit? I'm always going to be the best version of myself because I am the perfect personification of my mother's will made real in the material world. All the aspirations, all the prayers that my parents prayed, my grandmothers, my great grandmothers, my great 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 grandmothers, and on and on and on, back to the beginning of us. I am the perfect opportunity to the beginning of us. I am the perfect opportunity. I am the perfectly divine material experience that these women And these men of these women contributed to guarantee that I would be the best version of them in this moment, that I would be equipped in this moment to make their prayers a material force, to make their dreams a material force, not off in space. We don't live in space. We live on the planet. We live on the earth. We don't need to go nowhere the hell else. We have been gifted the perfect personification and the perfect opportunity to live a life of ecstasy as the peculiar and perfect expression of our mother's divine will made a material force. And so science is her language. And if you are talking about having a spiritual practice that does not completely embody the language of the mother, which is science, which is mathematics, which is repetition, which is evolution, which is evidence. You've learned spirituality from the patriarchs, and the patriarchs are always telling you to just have faith without evidence. Trust not your eyes, for they will betray you. Trust not your own heart. Rely not on your own understanding. Just trust me, the invisible, inevidentiary. I don't show you no evidence anywhere on the real earth that I exist, but just have faith. And I really want to get into this pure lust because she talked about that shit so lovely. She's like, that is why politics looks the way that it does, that you can be betrayed over and over and over again because you rely not on yourself, not on your intellect, not on the observation of fucking patterns. You rely on what somebody say, though you have been betrayed over and over and over again. You rely on pretty speeches that are completely ambiguous and have no substance. But he said, but she said, and cannot figure out why every time you put the power of, quote, your vote in the possession of someone else, in every single solitary time they turn around and betray you, because your belief in the system is based on this thing that you learned as an infant in blind faith, in not trusting evidence. Trust not your eyes, that's what your scriptures say. Rely not on your own understanding, that's what your scriptures say. Believe in your heart and say with your mouth, though there is no evidence. You just got to have faith. And the only way you will be able to prove, quote, that I am real is when your ass die, which is what I require. The only way, what's the monk name? I forget his name. But remember I was telling y'all about that bullshit. The dark night of the soul. That shit that I immediately had a problem with. Didn't have no basis for the problem, but I trust me. You understand? Every time I would hear the dark night of the soul, my whole body would just cringe. I'd be like, oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Oh, why y'all keep talking about a goddamn dark night of the soul? What is that shit? Somebody explain that to me, because I don't know what y'all talking about. And so I was like in my feelings. You understand? What is this dark night of the soul? Where it came from? Who created it? So I can at least have an informed opposition. I trust me, but I still am a Virgo sun. I still want to know the why. Let me have an informed opposition to this narrative about the dark night of the soul. And the monk say, and it was a Catholic monk, just so you know. All I had to read was it was coined for the first time by a Catholic monk who was in jail. He was in prison for heresy. That's all I needed to know. That's all I needed to know that shit didn't have nothing to do with me, no damn dark night of the soul. But the reason that he coined the term the dark night of the soul was, one, he was talking about the unknowability of God. The unknowability of God. That was the basis of this whole, because it was supposedly a poem that he wrote called The Dark Night of the Soul, this monk. And the basis, and so back then poems weren't like, your little, what y'all call it, your little griot, y'all get up there and do your little, what you call it, slams, your little poetry slams. It wasn't like that. When they wrote poems back in those days, they were essentially like books. And so this dude, I think they said the poem was like just long or some shit. Anyway, this dude writes this book-length poem called The Dark Night of the Soul. He wrote it while he was in prison, being charged with heresy by the Roman Catholic Church. And in it, two things that he is responsible for that y'all always be repeating without knowing the origin of you are saying. And so you literally be casting spells on your fucking self because you do not even know the history and the origin of the words that you hold in your fucking throat. You be speaking spells over your whole life, and that's what this shit is designed to do, is to have the victim speaking spells over their own lives. Y'all giving power to somebody who ain't got no power. Well, you know they be practicing witchcraft. They stole our mysteries, and then they use it against us. Nuh-uh, because they ain't got no power. What they did was they changed your brain so that you who have the power could speak spells over your own life. That's what they did. They used the words and changed the words so that the ones with power, in having had their brains wiped clean, could speak the spells of captivity over their own lives, speak the spells of poverty over their own lives, speak the spells of colonization over their own lives. It is you who are casting spells on your own life because you still give breath and space and real estate to the white ass patriarch sitting comfortably in the crown of your skull. I digress. This Catholic monk, Dark Night of the Soul, right? The whole basis was about the unknowability of God. We do not have the ability to know God. But the closest that we can come to knowing God is our willingness to suffer greatly to get close to him. Well, what does that sound like? The closer you are to death, the more God is knowable. That's why they love asceticism. That's why they love self-harm and and penance, cutting themselves, and martyrdom, killing themselves. Why is the suicide rate what it is? Because from infancy we teach children that martyrdom. Martyrdom. What is martyrdom? Who is the chief martyr? It's Jesus, ain't it? Well, if Jesus is God, and Jesus has been since the beginning, isn't it suicide? Is it really martyrdom? If he knew he was going to come here, if he knew he had to create the scenario that would make them Roman cops string his ass up, is it really martyrdom? Did he really die for you? Or did he commit a well-planned suicide to guilt your ass into compliance? Just saying. If you know it's going to happen because you have planned it to happen, is it really martyrdom though? If you the God of all gods, if you the King of kings, if you are yourself, but you have to break yourself up into threes to send a part of yourself to become human, to have a human experience so humans can empathize with you, and then you can see, look at this. So that you can do like one of these Japanese, what the Japanese call it, kamikazes. You can pull a kamikaze jack move, right? And they're glorified for that. You can do that thing that the Japanese samurai did before they had planes, where under the guise of honor, you take the samurai sword, when you have caused dishonor to your family name, or whatever version of it that is okay. So now we call it martyrdom, but a kamikaze is that like what? How do you distinguish between martyrdom and self-annihilation? Since I just got flagged up on here, instead of saying the S word, self-annihilation. How do you distinguish? When you take something in a book bag, and put it on your chest and walk into a public place, knowing that you will not be walking out of that public place, but you will be taking others with you in this act. How do you distinguish between martyrdom and self-annihilation? You feel me? When every single one of these patriarchal traditions hold up self-annihilation, an honorable act. How is a 16-year-old child supposed to distinguish between martyrdom as something that should be emulated and holy and held up and self-annihilation? I'm just saying, we got to be thinking about everything different. So Mr. Ascetic, Mr. Dark Night of the Soul, who tells you that no matter how sacred you are, here he is a monk. He is a Catholic priest. He is supposed to be the figurehead of this burgeoning institution. And he's like, even I don't know God. and the only way you can get to know God outside of the D word is to get as close to the D word as you can. It's to suffer as much as you can. And only in your suffering, only in your fasting to the brink of the D word, only in, self-penance, in all of these ways that you can abuse your flesh to get close to the D word. It is only then that God becomes knowable. That's what he said. So while y'all always out here talking about the dark night of the soul, you do not know what you're talking about. And before you regurgitate anything that you hear somebody else say, first check in with your flesh. How do your flesh feel about that? Do you get the heebie-jeebies like I did the first time I heard the dark night of the soul? I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it come from. But I know. I trust me. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And so let me find out. This same month. At the same time, guess what else he created? That you chant out of your mouth every single solitary day like an emphatic, undeniable religion. He is the one that came up for the first time with the idea of the spiritual retreat. A Roman Catholic monk is who came up with, for the very first time in history, the idea of a spiritual retreat. And y'all just been saying it and 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 saying it. Do you know what retreat means in warfare? Because you at war. You at war. Do you know what retreat means? Surrender, fall back, evade, hide. That's what retreat means. Then, several hundred years later, they made the word mean to take rest, But in its origin, it meant what it's supposed to mean. You holding up a white flag. Please leave us alone. Please just give us time. You stay at home. You stay behind closed doors. You hide. You're a coward. That's what retreat means. You're a coward. That's what retreat means. What's its opposition? Advance. That is what we need to be doing. We need to be having spiritual advances, spiritually strategizing, plotting, and planning on how to advance on our weakened enemy. We need to be plotting and strategizing in spiritual scientific advances so that we become the best version of ourselves. To advance means to progress above all others. To advance means to move forward in a progressive way. That's what advance means, the etymology of the word. To move forward in a progressive way. Do that sound like a retreat? Does that sound like a retreat? So that's in the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Somebody gonna bite my shit. But I am the first person to say that we are opposed to the idea of spiritual retreats. We are talking about the necessity of scientific spiritual advances so that we, as the governesses and governors of the new age, can move forward in a progressive way. We can move in an aggressive way against our weakened enemy. What is the evidence that our enemy, our adversary, is weakened? This giant mountain of crazy ass shit they be piling up on this social media to trigger you to death. And you fall for the okie doke every day. So remember, from now until forever, from now until our victory is complete, your MO, your mantra, the way you step out your house first thing in the morning is not today, Jesus. Allah, Yahweh, or anybody else that is planning the demise of our mother. Not today, Trump. Not today. Not one step backwards. I don't give a damn what you're saying out your mouth. It is not happening on my watch. Forever forward. Forever forward. Not one step back. 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 And if you want to add some gangster on top of it, victory is certain. What did Bob Marley say in what's the song? What's the song? Oh, until the philosophy we're all one. Oh wait, until the philosophy where one man is superior over another, inferior, is finally and permanently discredited. Well, everywhere is war. Woo, that's my shit. We say war. And until that day, what he say? The dream of lasting peace, of citizenship, and the rule of international morality will remaining but a fleeting illusion to be pursued, but never obtained. Well, everywhere there's war. And then he say, and we know we shall win, because we are confident in the victory, yes, of good over evil, yeah, of good over evil, yeah. Everywhere is woo. That's my jam, okay? That we are confident in the victory of good over evil. We are confident in the victory of good over evil. We are confident in our mother's ability to subdue her rogue son. We are confident in the mother's certain victory over her rogue son. Let me tell you, I saw a video today. I've seen it before, but I rewatched it today because I was in a mood and I forgot. The video I put, please look at the description boxes below these videos. I be dropping gems on y'all. I put 4 videos up in there. I put 2 or 3 articles up in there. And I'm gonna talk about 2 of the articles because I'm gonna blow y'all mind tonight. You feel me? But anyway, there's this girl, her name is Bree Runway, Bree Runway. She a cute little black Brit who is, I love her. I love her. I love everything about her. She jet black. I love it. She little bitty. She can't be but about 5 feet tall, 5'1". She little bitty. And child, she is a giant among men. Yes, she is. Her little bitty self. She a giant among men. But there's a video that I love of hers called What Would I Tell My Friends, or What Would I Say to My Friends? Woo, woo. Y'all got to watch that video. I'd seen it so many times, but today it hit different. Yes, it did. On the eve of this Mercury stationing direct, child, this video today hit different. How did I never see it before? Today that video hit different. Ooh. Ooh, baby. When I say segment in the motherfucking house, oh, I'm gonna give y'all the synopsis. I ain't gonna leave y'all hanging. Y'all still gotta see the video. But baby, she is a model in the video. And she is, in a model scenario where all these people are around her and doing her hair and messing with her face. And she looks like really kind of out of it, like overwhelmed. And the photographer, is very aggressive. He's talking to her all crazy. Yeah, you can't hear nothing, but you can see like he's talking to her all crazy. You can see her shrink because he like, it's just overwhelming, right? And then he tells her, maybe if we get rid of everybody and we do a private shoot, you'll be relaxed enough to get the kind of shots that I want. And so he makes everybody leave, and she's still in the studio and he's still taking pictures, but now he's being extra grabby, he's being extra feely. You feel me? He doing what men do. You feel me? And baby, he is subduing this young girl, and he is violating, is what he doing. He violating. You feel me? And baby, At the end, she takes a big old like white. There's a big in the props. There's a big old white bowl full of fruit, and she dumps the fruit off the table and takes this big old glass stone looking decorative bowl and cracks him over the skull, and he looks dismayed like, oh, and all of a sudden he just started gushing. Now the whole setup, the whole studio is white. He's wearing all white. He's a white guy with blue eyes. Like the whole thing is like extra, extra, extra white. The table is white. The bowl is white. The room is white. The lights are white, right? And she is in red and green and black. She is in red and green and black. She is in red and green and black with her jet black, gorgeous skin and a pair of high heel stilettos with flames on the bottom. Her stilettos got flames on them. You feel me? Everything is super white. And so she cracks this dude over the skull. He's looking shocked, like, and then he falls on the floor. Child, this girl is Sekhmet. This girl is Kali. She starts dancing on top of his body. She just starts dancing. She twerking over his. I said, "Oh my God!" She twerking on his body. She doing them. You know how them strippers be doing their little booty cheeks things when they make each booty cheek move up and down. She is squatting over his dead self, booty twerking. I said, God damn it. And then at the end, after she done like danced in this dude's blood, you feel me? Like it's on her face, it's on her stockings where she was dancing on top of them, whatever, right? And at the end, y'all, it just occurred to me today. At the end, these stilettos, they have flames coming all up the side. She stands. He is laying flat on this bright, bright white floor in all his white clothes, in this red blood everywhere. And she got one shoe on his heart chakra, child, right here, just like Sekhmet on Shiva. I was screaming. How did I miss that? The first 100 times I've seen the video. She got that foot of flames, child, on this dude's heart chakra, standing there in her green and red, like, yeah, I did that. And he laying there, just like Kali's boot on Shiva's chest. Woo-wee! Woo-wee! Y'all got to see that video. It is called What Would I Tell My Friends by Bree Runway. Bree, Bree Runway, just like it sounds. Baby, she did that. Her little bitty self, she did that. She did that. Woo! She did that. That gave me life today. She did that. All right. I did not mean to do an hour and 7-minute intro, but we in here. So anyway, for those of you who are just joining, just tuning in, my name is Cassandra-Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Here in sunny Southern California, you feel me? And so what did I entitle this one? Is it like, what did I entitle? Oh, the Bible study. Showed it. So let me tell you what had happened. I have a lot prepared for you. So this is going to be a quick run because I want to cover the things that I have in store for you today. Let me start with the articles that I have in the description box below this video. I want to encourage you to donate because I am about to put y'all on game, just like the last video that I did when I was giving y'all the hood version breakdown of the book of Esther and why you need to be reading the actual biblical book of Esther to understand what they are attempting to do with this project Esther. Don't be talking to me about Project Esther and you ain't read the book of Esther. Because I'm telling you, it's like a verbatim breakdown of what their true intentions were. Mordecai was the state. and Esther was a spy. Esther was a spook. And they were very clear about what their goals and objectives were. So anyway, read the book or revisit my 2 breakdowns. One is a very rigid and scholarly breakdown of the book of Esther. And then the next one was my super condensed hood version breakdown of the book of Esther and the things that you need to be paying attention to when reading Project Esther. The incompetence, the seeming incompetence of the king to be able to gain access to the state. Sound familiar? And the project itself says it. We can only make this thing happen when we have an administration that is favorable to the carrying out of this project. Here in the book of Esther, 3 different times it literally implies the incompetence of Xerxes, or Ahasuerus, which is his name in the Bible, but it's Xerxes the first. 3 different times he hands over the power of the state reserved for the emperor. And the story implies his incompetence, an incompetence that ends up almost having him overthrown by his own vizier, who is Mordecai. And then Mordecai literally facilitating a genocide on, quote, those who hate us, not our enemies. That's not what he said. He said, not our enemy. He didn't say our enemies, those who are actively carrying out aggressions against our life. That's not what he said. He said, against those that hate us. And then they proceeded to drunkenly and ecstatically commit a genocide against people who did not have their beliefs. That's what he did. That's right there in the book of Esther. That's exactly what Project Esther is talking about. Creating a grand, broad umbrella through which to cast everybody up under this umbrella as Hamas supporters. Anybody that's ever went to an event supporting Palestine, anybody that's ever said a word in support of Palestine, anybody. So you create the conditions for people to hate you and then use the word hate as the great grand tapestry that you cast over everybody to justify genocide. That's exactly what this thing is intending to do. Do you understand? So go back and watch those. The reason I'm bringing it up today is because we're going to do another Bible study. I've been up in here in many, many wormholes trying to keep things, but the world is unfolding so radically and so rapidly, and we have work to do. We have a world to create, baby. We have a stage to erect. We have a stage to erect, because it's not just we gonna be creating a new world. It's we gonna be staging the contest, and in order to stage a contest, we got to build the stage. We got to create the spectacle. I'm just telling you. I'm giving you the 411. We have to build the stage and create the spectacle. And so I've been up in here plotting and scheming. And I told y'all that. I responded to about 30 emails today. So check your emails to make sure if you are or not one of the people who I finally got to respond to. Yolanda, you are one of the people I emailed today. You feel me? So check your emails. Anyway, I don't even know how I got on it, but I was thinking about the book of Revelation today. We've been talking about it a lot for over a year, the book of Revelation. And the last kind of thing that I talked to you guys about was I studying something else. I came across a YouTube channel, and the name of the YouTube channel is The Bible Was Written Backwards. That's the name of the YouTube channel. Did anybody check that out after I told y'all that? Because I was up in here tweaking. Because I was saying maybe we need to write the Bible backwards. Like maybe that's how we missing the good stuff. It's like maybe we need to write it backwards. You feel me? Or read it backwards. And then I find a YouTube channel called, the name of the YouTube channel is The Bible Is Written Backwards. Okay. So anyway, so that, and so I'm going to read a lot to you. I'm done talking. The rest of the time that I'm on here, I'm going to be reading to you. For those of you who want to follow along, I will be reading. I'm making a mess. I will be reading mostly from one of our several Bibles for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. For those of you who have it, I will be giving page numbers so you can follow along. The Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. And then we will be reading, obviously, from the KJV, the King James Version of the Bible. You feel me? And then if we may be visiting a little bit, maybe the primary page numbers that I have out are from the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets, but we may, if we can get to it, or if we need to cross-reference, we may be extracting a little bit from the Women's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects. So you can pull that out as a little side note of perhaps. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Oh, there was two things I wanted to mention. So in trying to find images for the thumbnail, I just did a quick search. I did a quick image search for the black woman as Antichrist, or black woman as devil, right? Yes. Okay. And baby, guess what came up first? An article that is in the description box below this video on YouTube. The first article that came up is the title is Paula White called BLM the Antichrist is now the head of Trump's faith organization. It's like a, what do they call it? Faith. Hey. Faith organ, like, you know, the task force, the faith task force. Remember in February, Trump said he was going to create a new task force to qualify anybody that that uses any kind of hostile language towards Christians as a hate crime, and he was going to establish a new task force on Christianity. The woman that he placed as the head of this faith task force is a woman who, at the height of the BLM movement, said that that BLM was the Antichrist. Then what had happened was there was another article that came up that damn, where did I write it? There was another article that came up that said that Kamala Harris, I forget who the guy was, but he was a legislator who was quoted as saying Kamala Harris moves with an antichrist spirit. Then he said, he went further to say that that she was embodying the spirit of Jezebel. Oh, you trying to come back in, Nine? Hold on, let me let my cat back in. What you yelling about, big head? Come on, buddy. Come on, boy. Come on. So anyway, yeah. So now me, I was on something else because I had been looking for images of the revelations, right? Of the end times and the revelations and all of that stuff. And every single solitary picture that I found was pictures, especially when they're talking about like the Whore of Babylon and stuff. Like every picture was a picture of this white woman on like a buffalo or like a bull or like, you know, with a dragon, but all of the images were white women. I was like, well, that's fascinating. And so I said, well, black woman as Antichrist, black woman as the devil, black woman, da 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 da. Because we did that whole long deep dive. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go about 4 videos back, and you can get hip to the game. Okay. So anyway, so check out those links that I put in the description box below this video on my YouTube channel. That's all I'm gonna say about that, and let you do that. But let me tell you, when I was Holistic Health 1111, I told you sent like 6 or 7 timestamps from part 3. From part 3. Storm, leave him alone. Stop. You fine now. I just don't want him to stop harassing you while he's trying to eat. In the book Pure Lust by Mary Daly, for those of you who do not yet have it and are not yet right with your life, because yes, if you do not have this book, Pure Lust by Mary Daly, you are not yet right with your life. Okay? But in this book, she is talking about one of the sections that Holistic Harmony 1111 timestamped. She was talking about Oppenheimer, the creator of the atomic bomb, right? And that was a part of the Manhattan Project, right? Well, baby, for whatever reason, but y'all know how my brain be working, I decided to do an etymology search of the word Manhattan, to search the etymology of the word Manhattan. Guess what the etymology of the word Manhattan means? It means, and it was a native language, an indigenous word that means the land of many hills. This is how I got on the revelation today, because I was reading because of Holistic Harmony 1111. I was listening to and rereading the sections on Pure Lust about Oppenheimer and Winston Churchill and all of these dudes who were heralding him as this great, forethinker and leader. As a matter of fact, Albert Einstein was in on that crew. Your beloved Albert Einstein was up in that crew. You understand? And so I'm sitting here just reading about Oppenheimer and Pure Lust. I really should read you what they said, but I only have so much time. And so the reason I got on the revelation is because Manhattan means the land of many hills, and the revelation is talking about the hills, the 7 hills, right? But we always assume, especially those of us who grew up Christian, especially those of us who grew up Southern Baptist fundamentalist independent church Christians, we were always told that the Antichrist was the Pope, and that the 7 mountains in the Revelations was about Rome. You feel me? And for whatever reason, not even looking, just reading about Oppenheimer, I read that the indigenous word Manhattan literally means the land of many hills. I said, oh shit, maybe I need to be up in this revelation today. That's how I got on that. Okay, so first we're going to do, I don't think I'm going to read from Revelation first, or maybe I will. But I got, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to read from the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets first, because there are some words I'm going to have to prioritize. There are some words that I want to dig into today. And it's a list of words, so we might only get to a few of them because some of them are long. So we're going to look up the word purple first. We see it's on page 829. Here we go. You're going to look up the word purple first in the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Why is purple so important? Because purple shows up many, many times in the Bible. Purple shows up in the Revelation as one of the key colors, the indicator colors of the of the whore of Babylon, right? As a matter of fact, looking again for images for a Black woman as the Antichrist, guess what the first image was that came up? Was a thumbnail for the Hebrew Israelites, purple, right? They always sporting the purple with the gold like tassels and shit. The first picture that comes up as Black woman is the devil. This is the headline for a YouTube video that the Hebrew Israelites have made that literally says the Black woman is the devil. And it's got all of these images with Black women with like horns coming out of their head. This is the Hebrew Israelites, y'all. That's what made me think of it, is they always sporting the purple with the yellow tassels. And the name of the video is the Black woman is the devil. You understand? So anyway, I said, let's look up purple. So this is on page, for those of you who have the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara G. Walker, this is page 829. Purple, from the Latin purpureus, meaning very, very holy, or saucer, meaning taboo. The ancients' royal purple was not purple, but a dark wine red, the color of blood, especially the menstrual blood, formerly considered the very stuff of life. Royal purple meant the same as royal blood, matrilineal kinship in a sacred clan. Some legends said royal purple descended from Athena's goatskin dyed red, the Aegeus of sovereignty. The purple robe of a Roman emperor was said to have been colored by blood. Purple still meant blood color in the time of Shakespeare, who spoke of the purple hands of Caesar's assassins stained with the most noble blood of all in the world. When Mark's gospel says Jesus's robe was purple in Mark 15:17, and Matthew's gospel says it was scarlet 27:28, that's in Matthew 27:28, they are really talking about the conventional sacred king robe of moon blood color. Babylonian kings wore the same dark red robe called Iamhusu. It was the same sacred blood color that covered altars in Canaan and Israel, according to Numbers chapter 4, and dyed the red carpet trod by triumphal religious processions. Woo, the red carpet. Blood purple was sacred to the pagans, as suggested by the first book of Adam and Eve, which says the art of dyeing crimson and purple was invented by Satan. The art of dyeing crimson red and purple was invented by Satan. I want to reiterate, those of you who have been up on here some while, you've heard me say this before, but those of you who are not familiar with the channel or who haven't been up on here, I was a devotee of Ifa for 15 years. And as a devotee, I cannot tell you the countless number of times I had been told that wearing the color red is a taboo for me. And I complied for a long time. They said, one priest told me that not only should I not wear red or any version of red, pink, any version of red. Not only was I not to wear red, I was not to sleep in red. Lo and behold, all my bed sheets and my bedspread and my pillowcases were all red. I was like, how did you know that? And so I gave all of that shit to the Goodwill because I was told I could not sleep in red, I could not wear red, I couldn't wear any version of red, whatever. And I complied for a long time, because when you are told taboos especially during like a head reading or like a destiny reading, you take that shit seriously. What you can and cannot eat, what you can and cannot drink, what colors you can and cannot have, what pets you can and cannot have, right? Your taboos are taken very, very seriously. And once I made the declaration that I was no longer going to be considering a devotee, yes, I still love the tradition, and yes, there are certain aspects or attributes of the tradition. Hold on, I hurt my foot, and so my little covering has just come off, dang, like way off. So go ahead and take it off now. Yeah, I jacked my foot up yesterday. And had to do a treatment on myself today, hence all the little cupping marks. I cupped myself this morning. They everywhere. They ain't just on my shoulders. They everywhere. My freaking legs, my abdomen. I was jacked up yesterday, and then I just hurt my toe again. Anyway, so your taboos are, to be taken very seriously in these traditions, right? So, after I made the declaration that I was no longer going to consider myself a devotee, a disciple of Ifa, I gave up all of my adherence to those taboos. I started buying a gang of red shit, red dresses and all the things. You feel me? And so anyway, I just find this part interesting here that it says that the art of dyeing crimson, which is red, and purple was invented by Satan. Anyway, actually, the art was invented by the Phoenicians, who obtained deep blood red dye from the mollusks of the family Mauricidae. These sea snails were the source of the famous Tyrian purple worn by royalty. In Roman society, people just below imperial rank were allowed to wear stripes or borders of the holy color on their togas in smaller widths according to a descended scale of status. So that's it on purple, but I thought it was important for us to go and at least dig into that superficially. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is on page 855 of the same book, which is Revelation, which we're going to be talking about this evening. Here it is. So it's on the bottom of page 855. Okay. Revelation. Latin, revelatio, or revelatio, meant to draw back the veil, or velum, to draw back the veil. It was the goddess's rainbow veil. Let's see here. Thank you, Carolyn Jackson, for the donation, my dear. So I guess this is a great opportunity for me to put the information out. If you are not tuning in via YouTube, or if you would prefer to make a donation that I get right away, because I don't get these donations right away in the super thanks. If you want to make a donation that I get right away, you can do that by using the temple's email address, which is EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. You can use that email address if you want to send a Zelle, or if you want to send a PayPal. If you want to send a Venmo, it is my name, Cassandra, Cassandra-Floyd, or you can send a Cashapp, which is $ Daughter of the Fates, FATES, Daughter of the Fates, FATES. Okay. You can also, other ways that you can support the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence is you can make a purchase at the temple's Etsy store, which is DaughterOfTheFates.etsy.com. DaughterOfTheFates.etsy.com. And right now I have about, I think, 955 unique pieces that I made with my own hands, child. 955 unique pieces from which you can select, or you can make custom orders as well. Okay, cool. Oh, is this Sobosisu on here? Anyway, okay, so Revelation. Okay, so revelatio, which means to draw back the veil. It was the goddess's rainbow veil that concealed the future and the secrets of the spirit under the colors of earthly appearances. After death, men might see her. After death, men might see her face to face. A vision of the naked goddess was vouchsafed to her sacred kings, who could draw back the veil of her temple, the hymen, pierce her virginity, and die in their mating to become gods. But as the goddess said on her temple at Sais, quote, "No mortal has yet been able to lift the veil which covers me. Those who saw her unveiled were no longer mortal." In time, the word revelation was applied to every religious vision or opinion. It even described the stereotyped pronouncements of fortune tellers. In the Bible's book of Revelation, the Bible's book of Revelation purports to be a doomsday vision experienced by St. John the Divine, but it is in fact a collection of images and phrases from many sources. Literature of this kind was plentiful in the first few centuries AD, and it is still occurred 1,000 years later in Roman pagan traditions, e.g., the very similar Völuspá or Sibyl's vision of the Scandinavian version of Doomsday, which is called Muspellum. The Scandinavian Doomsday is called Muspellum. Okay, so that's it. That's all she has for revelation on that. What else do we have? Sin was pretty short. So let me go ahead and look up sin. Where do we see that? I was maybe still. Let's see. I really want to read that one too, but it's long. Actually, okay. Here we go. Okay. All right. So this one's pretty short too. The word S-I-N. S-I-N. Okay. The original moon god of Mount Sinai, mountain of the moon. He was born of the Virgin Queen of Heaven, Nana or Inanna. He ruled the land of Sinim, according to Isaiah 49, verse 12, which meant the land of the lunar mountain, and was an older form of Zion. His Chaldean name was Kingu. He was the God who received the tablets of the law from the primal mother of creation, Tiamat. As Moses is God, he still had the same mountain throne and the same tablets. A biblical scholar has pointed out that the Jehovah of the Hebrews was merely another transformation of the primitive lunar deity of Arabia. The God Moses met on Mount Sinai. The God Moses met on Mount Sinai claimed to be the God of Abraham, though he said Abraham knew him by a different name, according to Exodus 6, verse 3. In fact, Abraham may have been the same. Deity. Very ancient documents use the name Abraham or Abram as a synonym for Absin or Absin, moon father. In the 12th century BC, the Babylonian heaven was ruled by a trinity consisting of Shamash, Sin, and Ishtar, represented by the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay. All right. What was the next one? So we got that out the way. So we did that one. All right. I think there's another short one. Play tune somewhere there's heaven and a moon. Let's see. Actually, I gotta skip this one. Okay, let's see. Was serpent? Next one, I think, yeah. Okay, serpent. That one's serpent is long, so I don't know if I'm gonna read the whole thing. What time is it? Because I think Sex is pretty long, and I wanted to read that one too. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Carolyn Jackson, for your donation, my dear. Thank you, Yolanda, for your donation. You are so generous, both of you. Okay. Yeah. So serpent and sex. The Tao is crazy. The tarot I'll have to do on another day. Twins I might do tonight. When let's see, which I'll have to do on another day because I remember that one was pretty long too. Let's see. I think. Oh yeah, sex is pretty long too. I think I might just read part of each. Oh yeah, sex is very long. Yeah, but I really think it's important for this energy that we are in, just coming out of, what did I say the 8/8 portal was? It is also International Female Orgasm Day. So we're definitely going to talk about at least maybe half of the section on sex and half of the section on the serpent. And then we're going to shift gears and go to the book of Revelation. So serpent we'll do first. It was a general belief in the ancient world that snakes didn't die of old age like other animals, but periodically shed their skins and emerged renewed or reborn into another life. Like that whole introduction that I did just an hour ago about how we are made new and better every day, right? Let's see. Greeks called the snake's cast skin geras, or old age. The Chinese envisioned the resurrection of the dead as a man splitting his old skin and coming out of it as a youth again, like a snake. Melanesians say, quote, to slough one's skin means eternal life. A basic serpent myth said that the dual moon goddess of life and death made the first man. Her bright aspect suggested making him immortal like a snake, able to shed his skin, but her dark aspect insisted that he should die and be buried in the earth. Eternal life and serpenthood are still equated in the Italian expression avier più anni di serpente, meaning being older than a serpent. The ageless serpent was originally identified with the great goddess herself. Hinduism's Ananta, the infinite, was the serpent mother who embraced Vishnu and the other gods during their dead phase. She was also Kundalini, the inner female soul of man in serpent shape, coiled at the pelvis, introduced through proper practice of yoga to uncoil and mount through the spinal chakras toward the head, bringing infinite wisdom. The serpent goddess occupied the famous Khmer temple of Angkor Wat in Cambodia, where she embraced the king every night. Let me mark this. Where she embraced the king every night. If one night the goddess did not appear, it was a sign that the king must be killed and a new king chosen. The Negritos said the divine people called Chinoi, or the Chinese, were descended from a mighty serpent goddess named Mach Chinoi, mother of the Chinese. In her belly lived beautiful angels who received the souls of the dead. Since her womb was paradise, shamans underwent their death and rebirth initiations by entering the serpent's belly. The ancient Aegean world worshipped primarily women and serpents. Men didn't participate in religious ceremonies until late in the Bronze Age, when Cretan kings were allowed to become priests of the bull god. Even then, the priest's role was subordinate to that of the priestesses until the priest himself took the title of the serpent. The word for priest among ancient Akkadian peoples literally meant snake charmer. The Indian serpent goddess Kadru gave birth to all of the Nagas, or cobra people, and made them immortal by feeding them her divine lunar blood. She had a Babylonian counterpart, the goddess Kadi of Dare, worshipped as a serpent with a woman's head and breasts. Her children, like the Nagas, were depicted as water serpents, human from the waist up, like mermaids or mermen. The Nagas guarded, quote, great treasures of wealth and precious stones, and sometimes books of secret teachings in underwater places, end quote. A similar serpent guarded the wonderful book of Thoth, which was hold on. Oh man. Let's see. Like the Greek twin Hermes, Thoth was often incarnate in a snake, signifying his magical wisdom. Egypt agreed with India in depicting the first serpent as a totemic form of the Great Mother herself. Egypt's archaic mother of creation was a serpent, Per Uachet, or Buto. The Egyptian Uraeus snake was a hieroglyphic sign for the goddess or for goddess. Incongruously, Uraeus later became one of the most popular secret names of God listed in the magic papyri and medieval texts of sorcery. Egypt's serpent goddess also had the title of Mehen, the enveloper, similar to Kundalini or Ananta. Each night, Mehen enfolded the ram-headed god of Ra, or phallus of Ra, during his sojourn in the uterine underworld. This was a mythic image of the king's sexual union with his goddess, reminiscent of the custom of Angkor Wat. Philae, the serpent goddess, received the title of Anket from Ankh, to surround or to embrace. Serpent of the Nile was the title not only of Cleopatra, but of all Egyptian queens who represented the nation and the goddess embracing the king. I'm gonna stop there with this because I've read this one before to you guys, so y'all can go back and do that. I haven't read. See what time it is. I'm gonna stop soon. I'm feeling it. And then I'll pick back up tomorrow because sorry. Yeah, I'm not gonna make it to I don't have the stamina right now to read Revelations as it's heady. Okay. Sex. Reverend Dr. Joseph Fletcher of the Episcopal Theological School wrote, quote, the Christian churches must shoulder much of the blame for the confusion, ignorance, and guilt which surround sex in Western culture. The Christian church, from its earliest primitive beginnings, had been swayed by many puritanical people, both Catholic and Protestant, who have viewed sex as inherently evil, end quote. Others have been less forgiving and stated bluntly that Christian churches must shoulder not just much of the blame, but all of it. R.E.L. Masters declared, quote, almost the entire blame for this hideous nightmare that was the witch, almost the entire blame for the hideous nightmare that was the witch mania, and the greatest part of the blame for poisoning the sexual life of the West rests squarely on the Roman Catholic Church, end quote. The rest of the blame presumably devolves upon Protestantism, for there was no institution in Western culture other than Christianity that made any effort to teach human beings to hate or fear sex. Oh, I'm so sorry. Christian abhorrence of sex began with the fathers of the church, who insisted that the kingdom of God couldn't be established until the human race was allowed to die out through universal celibacy. Oh my God! Oh, fuck! God! Oh, damn! Oh, shit! Y'all! Oh my God. Did y'all hear what I just read? God damn. Yo. Child, Christian abhorrence of sex began with the fathers of the church who insisted that the kingdom of God could not be established until the human race was allowed to die out through universal celibacy. Oh, 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 oh. Damn. Oh. Marcion announced that all propagation must be abandoned at once. Okay. Saint Jerome ordered, quote, regard everything as poison which bears within it the seed of sensual pleasure. Oh my God. Damn. Oh Lord, y'all. Ooh, child. Oh my God. This is why we fucked up. This one little paragraph is why incels exist. Okay? Women are not your problem, child. Blame your church. Blame your church for why your ass is an incel. Blame your church, child. Blame your religious philosophies and institutions. Women are not the reason that your ass is sexless. Women are not the reason that you can't get no booty. Period. Period. Women are not the reason. Blame your church. Here it is. She wrote this in 1983, child. She predicted incel culture. Yes, she did. Yes, she did that. Because your saints, your imams, your priests and preachers say what? Quote, regard everything as poison which bears within it the seed of sensual pleasure. That's why, let me just say really quick. This one little sentence right here, these two little sentences right here, is why jump off culture exists. It is why sex is seen as warfare through the lens of men. That's why it exists. Rape exists because of these two sentences here. Yes, it does. Because in Christian Abrahamic patriarchal religious ideology, sex is not for females to be enjoyed to enjoy. Sex is solely for males to enjoy and for reproduction. That women are, we've read it so many times in so many different books, that women are meant to be denied sensual pleasure in the act of sex. Mm-hmm. Here they say everything that has in its seed sensual pleasure should be viewed as a poison. But they ain't talking about men experiencing pleasure. They're talking about women's pleasure. Saint Athanasius declared the great revelation and blessing brought by Jesus was the knowledge of the saving of the grace of chastity. Tertullian said chastity was, quote, a means whereby a man will traffic in a mighty substance of sanctity, whereas the sex act rendered even marriage obscene. Oh my God. Yo, I'm telling you, this little paragraph is the reason men hate women. Love mounting holes that women possess while hating the vessel itself. Child, men out here with multiple personalities disorder imposed on them by their patriarchal religion and the institutions that uphold those patriarchal religions. Child, sex was seen what did it say? Whereas the sex act rendered even marriage obscene. Just see what y'all talking about over here. Let's see what y'all talking about over here. All right. Numenius of Apamea proclaimed that only total cessation of all sexual activity could bring about the union of the soul with God. What did I just say an hour ago about the unknowability of God unless you are willing to suffer to the brink of death? St. Augustine pronounced that the doctrine that, quote, concupiscence is the root of original sin. Sex is the root of original sin and the means of transmitting Adam's guilt to all generations. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. God damn. Oh my God. Oh shit. Sex is the reason. Sex is the reason and the way through which Adam's guilt is transferred through all generations and all mankind. Oh my God, y'all. Let's see here. I saw your comment, Yolanda, and the watching of the consummation of the marriage was always weird. It wasn't weird. It was the way that they attempted to guarantee that if the new queen got pregnant, that it was certainly the nobleman's actual offspring. It was a way because women were seen as property, their children were seen as property, and male children were necessary to ensure that all possessions of nobility transferred only to his actual line. That's why as a part of the wedding festivities, everybody would go into the boudoir of the new couple and watch them consummate the marriage to ensure that the wealth of the nobility actually descended to the actual heir of said noble. That's what it was for. No, it wasn't supposed to be sacred between couples. Marriage was not sacred. Marriage was not sacred in Europe at the advent of with the creation of or the advent of monogamous relationships. Prior to Rome, there was no culture of man, woman, and child. It was clan because they were matrilineal societies in Europe. It was clan. It was clan. Matrilineal clan bloodlines that passed from the women, from the female to the children. You always knew who your mother was, but females, yes, in Europe, contrary to what you've been taught, females in Europe experienced sexual sovereignty and agency prior to the emergence of Greek and Roman colonization. Prior to Greek and Roman colonization, females throughout Rome, throughout matrilineal clan lines, experienced sexual agency and sovereignty. And so they had the same customs in matrilineal society. First of all, in those societies in Europe, yes, females could own land, females could divorce their husbands, females chose the husbands, females proposed to the men that they intended to wed. They married outside clan lines so that the bloodlines would not be too closely related. Incest is a byproduct of the colonization of goddess worshiping people in Europe. It is important for us to know the pre-colonial history of goddess worshiping matrilineal societies in Europe, because so many of the I know that's what your granny taught us. What I was just about to say is so many of us have learned a mutated untrue version of what Europe quote looked like. I mean, I know some of y'all are gonna have an attitude about it. It's not my opinion, it's what the history is, and we learn diluted, untrue versions of history, particularly about European people, to serve a purpose. To serve a purpose. We learn what? That white people funky and dirty just because that's just their nature. We learn that white people are inherently wicked because that's just their nature. We learn that white people are inherently violent because that's just their nature. No, it's not, and no, it wasn't. What we witness as the malignancies peculiar to white people in the current world is a consequence of the radical, violent, hostile theft of land and takeover of matrilineal, matriarchal societies in clan relationship Europe, under the goddess, hostily taken over by Greece and subsequently Rome, and the imposition of patriarchal societies on their sacred people, which was the holy harlots, the temple whores, the priestesses, who were the sole possessors of the spiritual relationship of the people. As a matter of fact, there was this guy's thesis that I read. He was an Indian dude who had his PhD in history, child, and he talked about why he asked the question was like, why could other nations smell Europe? We've all heard the story about how Europe was so stinking that you could smell Europe from a whole continent away or whatever. That was not something that was an inherent characteristic of quote whiteness. What the Roman Catholic Church did is in an attempt to maintain power over their hostages. Europeans were hostages. What they did was that's what the Dark Ages was about. The Dark Ages was this vicious time in human history. Now, the witch trials didn't start until the Renaissance. We think that the witch trials started in the Dark Ages, and it didn't. The witch trials began in the 12th century, in the 1100s. But you had 300 years of the Dark Ages where Rome was attempting to harden and hunker down its control over these, up until that point, sovereign people around Europe, and bringing them into this imperial relationship with Rome through the Roman Catholic Church, right? Rome was the state. The Catholic Church was the state. The church was the state. Do you understand? And in the Dark Ages, all of these draconian, harsh laws came down as spiritual doctrine, but this spiritual doctrine was backed by a brutal and violent state. How do you force a whole continent of people to quote in order to preserve their cleanliness, their spiritual cleanliness? They could not get naked to take a bath but twice a year. That was a mandate made by the Roman Catholic Church. It wasn't that quote white people were just inherently filthy and funky. No, through the violent apparatus that the Roman Catholic Church wielded, which was the state, which was soldiers, which was military, was the goddamn police and prisons and shit, controlled by the church. The nobility at that time was controlled by the church. The only institution that was greater than the kings themselves was the church. And how do you get people who had lived like every other tribal clan, mother clan group of people on earth lived, where you were regularly bathing and regularly harvesting your own food and growing what you need, and surviving in harmonious union with other clans, because the females in your clans might need to marry somebody from your clan so that you did not mate too closely to the mother bloodline. How do you do that? The only way that you can teach people against every single solitary custom that they had for thousands of years, some propose anywhere from 12 to 15,000 years that white people have been on the earth, that white skin people on earth have existed anywhere from 12 to 15,000 years. How do you get people who have had a pretty harmonious relationship, not only with each other, but also to the land, also to the animals? How do you get them to abandon every single custom that they had? Brute goddamn force. That's it. Brute force is the only way that you can successfully. Oh, God damn. Hold on. Oh. Yeah, hold on. Oh my God. Hold on. Damn. Damn. Oh my God. Listen. Remember in this study that I was telling y'all about called The Search for Oneness? This book is just a compilation of a study that was conducted, I think, in like 1972, where these three psychiatrists posited they had this hypothesis that the cause of all mental illness was birthing trauma, premature umbilical cord severing. And they posited that premature umbilical cord severing was the true origin of all mental illness. And the idea for the study was, what if we could subconsciously reconnect this severed cord, reconnect the connection, mend the connection between mother and child, meaning anybody that was in the psychiatric hospital that they worked in. What if you could subconsciously reconnect the cord? Would it, in retrospect, in the current day, heal all of the mental illness showing up in this variety of human beings that they were treating in this hospital? That's this book, The Search for Oneness. It is a complete detailing of how they conducted the study, The Search for Oneness. If you are able to find this book, I will be impressed. This book is out of print, and I found it the only place, and I looked for about 2 years. The only place I found this book was on eBay, and I ended up paying like $300 for this fucking book. But anyway, the moment that I just had while reading this and talking to you about how, hold on, God damn, hold on. Oh, God damn. Listen, I'm sitting here talking to you about how do you success? What is the only way you can successfully cause a whole group of people to abandon every single one of their original matrilineal blood clan cultural customs? I hope you're following what I just said. What is the only way that you can convince an entire group of people to abandon all allegiance, all adherence to the mother clan matrilineal customs of their origin? There's only way to do that is brute fucking force, consistent, unending, unwavering, and ever increasing brute force. That's it. That's the only way. Because if you give people a if you give people a break, If you give people a break, if you give them a moment's rest, if you give them a single bit of time to take a full breath, child, the mother will rise the fuck up in them blood cells. She will bob her head right back up to the surface. I'm still in here. I'm still in here. I'm still in here. Trying to help you make a break, bitch. Trying to help you make a break. Trying to help you make a break. Listen, if this is not so currently relevant, there can be no moment, no time, no minutes rest. That's why your work schedule is the way that it is. That's why your child's school schedule and learning is the way that it is. This is why daylight saving time exists. This is why they had to change the calendar. This is why they had to manipulate everything on earth. This is why you have to buy food that, if given the opportunity, you could grow for free yourself. This is why capitalism exists. It's not just, quote, to make somebody else wealthy. It is to ensure the perpetual, uninterrupted fucking trauma, tragedy, pain, and suffering that guarantees that the mother will never be able to reemerge up in you. That you'll never have the opportunity to think freely, so that the mother, the ancient memory that rests in the blood cells flowing through your body, have the ability to remind you who you are, where you came from, and what your true essence and purpose is on the planet. This is so we're talking about European people and how the reason that white people are the way that they are, it does not absolve them. It does not absolve them of their behavior. It does not absolve them of their participation in. It does not absolve them from the crimes that they have committed. But for white people to have the ability to redeem themselves, to re-become one with the earth that they incarnated on, is to understand, it's for all of us to understand the true origins of this diabolical relationship that has its origin in Europe. Europeans brutalizing other human beings, Europeans, for such an extended period of time of daily imposed trauma and violence, unlike anything that had been witnessed on earth. Because the what you call it? The Inquisition alone, and that's not the only trauma they endured, but the Inquisition alone lasted 781 years. That's just the Inquisition. And the Inquisition didn't start until the 1100s. You are talking about, let's see, the beginning of the Roman Empire is 200 BC, 400 BC. It's either 200 or 400 BC is the Roman Empire. Prior to that is the Greek Empire. So you're talking about at least, and then that's 1100. So that's 1,000. You're talking about at least 1,500. You're talking about at least 1,500 years of brute freaking force. Brute. And when I mean brute, I mean the worst kinds of crimes imaginable in the human imagination unfolding upon the lives as daily spectacle on people who had otherwise been goddess worshiping, mother respecting, grandmother respecting, devotees of the earth mother. You're talking about prior to the Inquisition. Prior to the Inquisition, 1,500 years of brute force levied upon the bodies, spirits, and minds of human beings. And then you add another 781 years, which is the Inquisition. You're talking about 2,000 years. Because the Inquisition didn't officially end until, 1962? 1962. 1962 was when the official Inquisition ended, and the last death sentence that came down by the Inquisition was in the 1930s, child. In the 1930s. The office of the Inquisition. The office of the Inquisition was not officially, quote, ended. And the only way it ended was because the office of the Inquisition was not rooted out. The name was changed in 1962. The name of the office of the Inquisition was changed in 1962. You understand? You understand? 1962. And so it gives us some context because there's so many lies that have been told to colonized people, to people of color, about the relationship that we have to the white world. One of the great lies that we have been told is about the behavior of white people upon the bodies of Black people in America, aka lynchings and castration and burnings of bodies and all of this terrible stuff. And that up until that, because I've heard Black historians say this out their mouth. Up until that point, when have you ever known in history for there to be such a violent attack on the genital? I have heard this from historians that I really respect, y'all. So this was hard for me. As a matter of fact, God rest her soul. The great, wonderful Dr. Frances Quest Welsing, who came up with the whole idea. I love these emojis, these little baby emojis. Thank you, Balance, for the donation and the cute little hippos. They so cute. But Dr. Frances Quest Welsing, author of the ISIS Papers, she was the one to first coin the whole idea of the what did she call it? The irrational fear that white people have of Black people was the fear of genetic annihilation, and that the seed of all of their violence and all of their hatred and all of their hostility of Black people was their fear, their inherent fear of genetic annihilation. And I was like, that makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. And one of the examples that she used was, never in history have we seen a group of people solely level these attacks on the genitals of other peoples. And so it is only at the advent of American chattel slavery that a primary part of the punishment to keep Black people in check was the public display of castration of males. And we had never before seen this in human history. And that is not true. It's not true. It's not true. As a matter of fact, it existed among Arabs before Europeans even set sail across the oceans. Male castration with Arab colonization on the continent. It happened to white people by white people during the Inquisition. We used to say, this is why it is the hatred of Black people is the reason that lynchings in the South happened the way that they did and continue until today. And that this had never happened nowhere else. And we don't even have to be historians to know that that ain't true, right? Several of the main, Jesus was hung from a tree. He wasn't lynched, but he was still hung from a tree. You feel me? If he was real. But that's not the only thing. During the Inquisition, there were 3 main sentences to death: hanging from a tree, placed up on the stakes to be burnt on a tree. And then we turn around and see the exact same images in the Black bodies, and these images being showed to us all the time about lynchings in the South. how they would kill the person and then put their bodies on stakes and set them on fire. And then we turn around and read stories of the Inquisition, especially the earlier years of the Inquisition, where the Inquisition pivoted from heresy as the main charge to witchcraft, and literally watch verbatim every woman, mother, daughter, wife, auntie on a regular basis be set up on stakes and set up on pyres and set ablaze for the audacity of possessing power. And that power wasn't no ooga booga dancing with the devil in the goddamn moon and shit. It was having the ability to read when only nobility in the church was allowed to read, having the ability to create medicines that actually worked, doing shit like washing your hands before you delivered a baby could get you tried as a witch and set the fuck up on stakes to burn in front of everybody you love. To be a male who was perceived. Now, so this is a trigger warning because this is not my word. We can read this in the Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. We can read this in Symbols and Sacred Objects. It's mentioned in in the Great Cosmic Mother, where the term faggot came from the burning of males. It was wood. Faggot was a word for the wood used to build the pyres. It became synonymous with males, a peculiar type of male who was known to have attraction to or familiarity with other males. The word faggot was the wood. That was the name for the wood used in killing people. That was what they called the wood. But it became something that was peculiar to males because at that time, they were burning women. That was their primary target, was women. You understand? But then when males got found out for having sexual relationships with other males, as they started trying these males who were attracted to other males as witches for their attraction, for their sexual attraction, or those who were male who presented too close in proximity to female associated behavior, the word used to burn them alive, the wood name used to burn them alive, became synonymous with who was being burnt as males was people who were male attracted or female, more female closely associated. Do you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? To know the origin of things. To know the origin of things. One, because I'm going to tell you, the reason white people are out here fucked up is because the same narrative that we have been taught is the same narrative that they have been taught. And so the basis of their hatred of everybody else, the basis of their hatred of black people, brown people, red people, yellow people, the basis for their hatred of us has been given to them by their bosses, by their nobility, by the same people who are the descendants of the ones who posted their ancestors them up on stakes. The white working class are the descendants of the poor and the witches and all of that shit. And the people who they are trying to appeal to all the time, the billionaires and the aristocracy and the oligarchy and the plutocracy and the this and the this, are the descendants of them same monks and popes and nobility and kings and queens who was running their ass ragged for some 2,000 years with the most gruesome, brutal crimes imaginable upon the bodies of human beings. They are the product of a society of violence imposed on them, not that's inherent to them being white. We can't have it both ways. That's all I'm saying. We cannot have it both ways. We cannot say that white people are the descendants of Africans, which they are. We cannot say that everybody on earth is our children, which they are, and then not see a line of connection between their proximity away from source and how far they go in terms of their descendancy into violence and malignant behavior, because they are not rooted in a relationship with source, which is us, which is black ass uterus possessing women, black skinned women the globe over. We can't have it both ways. If white people are our babies globally, if white people are our children, if white people are our babies, then there has to be something that has happened to them that has broken them. And if they are broken, they can be mended. That's their responsibility. But I take responsibility for at least telling a truth that I know has been deliberately corrupted because it serves those that's in power over all of us. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, and it also gives, this truth gives white people a method of redemption, the ability to redeem themselves in the restoration of their relationship to the rest of us on earth. So I hope you hear what I'm saying. This is not about providing excuses. This is about telling the whole truth, as uncomfortable as it may be, so that we can create the world we say we want to make real. This is the only way to do that. We cannot create the world that we say we want to see made real, telling half truths and lies propagated on all of us by those minute few cancerous cells existing in the body of the whole. We have to root that shit the fuck out, no different than we would if we actually had a tumor in our bodies. That's our responsibility. And to, I'm just sorry, because I, when I mentioned Frances Quest Welsing earlier, and she talked about the root of their hatred is the fear of genetic annihilation, I don't accept it. I used to. I was like, yep, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. No, the root of their malignancy and their hatred of us is the fact that, just like this book, The Search for Oneness, was saying, that when you men invade and intervene in the process governed by the mother, which is childbirth, and you got all these bright lights on, you got her flat on her back, you got her sedated where she can't move, you don't let her get up from the table for the greater portion of the time that men take it over, obstetrics, you were strapped to a bed, you feel me, and your booty is cut, and all of these terrible things that are happening. You spank the baby, you impose trauma from the moment the child is born. You cut the cord before the umbilical pulse has ended on its own, before the child has navigated its way to the mother's breast to have a healthy connection, before the umbilical cord is cut. It is violence is the introduction. Violence is the baptism that children are born on this planet. And it is the reason for all violence on earth, is this violent intervention in a process that is natural and empowering and harmonious and should be celebrated. And this story about what happened to white people to turn them into what they appear to be in their relationship with the rest of us was the consistent, unending, violent intervention in human beings that for the greater part of 12,000 years had harmonious relationships through mother blood clan relationships. I'm just giving you a word. And even Sheikh Anta Diop. I love Sheikh Anta Diop, but some of what he taught and some of the conclusions that he, I give grace because that shit was like 80 years ago, but some of the conclusions that he came to were incorrect. The whole idea of the northern and the southern cradle and the harsh environment is what gave rise to harsh people. It don't check. It don't fly. It don't fly, man. It don't fly. And I was like, that's brilliant. That makes sense. I like that idea. The northern and the southern cradle and this and that and this and that. It don't fly, man. It don't fly. It don't fly. It don't fly. Some of what he said very much flies. But knowing what we know today and knowing that Sheikh Anta Diop was a patriarch, and just like many patriarchal historians, they just conveniently leave significant shit out of the conclusions that they come to. Yes, black-skinned, African-centered patriarchs do the same thing. They tell half-truths that can make their point sound more valid than their opposition. Women, we ain't got no stakes in none of that shit. Females do not have any stakes in perpetrating lies and half-truths. We have to get to the origin of all things if we are to transform radically and rapidly the world that we live in this relationship with our mother, so that she can go ahead and set this shit off. We can't do that. We can't do that. And that's what is really fucking me up, is because this period that we're in is really increasing the polarizing of these relationships of white people from the rest of the world. It's really feeding that shit. It's really feeding their paranoia. It's really feeding their, everybody is out to get us. Everybody is out to take what we got. We are out here by ourselves. Honey, you are ensuring the shortening of your life expectancy with that kind of mentality. Also, the idea that if there was peace on earth, that white people would just disappear from the planet because white people would just be seeking out relationships with everybody else. And so eventually the white people would just disappear. Y'all are crazy. This is a sickness that you are inflicted with that has been imposed on your skull. White people existed for the greater part of 12 to 15,000 years, harmoniously having babies with other white people for a long time, even as they came into contact with other melanated people, black people and Asian people, yellow people, red people, well, maybe, but definitely Asian people and so-called Middle Eastern people, North African people before they busted up the continent, you feel me? And African people, black-skinned people. For 12 to 15,000 years, you didn't have these interactions and relationships with people of other races. And guess what? White people still exist. Ain't that something? White people still exist. White people still existed and kept having babies with other white people. Ain't that something how they did that? Ain't that something how they did that? And so you making all these grand gestures about buying land up in the Arkansas mountains and these white only communities. And oh my God, and black people freaking out. Why they do this? Why they going back to second? Child, stop. All y'all stop the madness. This shit is a setup. This shit is a setup. It's a play. A flimsy one at that. It's a play. It's not a well-written play at that. This is some bullshit. This is some bullshit to create the polarization that we are seeing because if people are not polarized, if people are not confident in who they are and their right to exist on the planet that they incarnated in, they will descend into trivial bullshit and ass ideas imposed on them by billionaires who are robbing them blind. Bitch, I don't care how white you is. Your ass ain't never gonna be a billionaire, bitch. If your ass was born a billionaire, bitch, your ass is not gonna become a billionaire. I promise you. And if your ass ain't never gonna be a billionaire because you living in the mountains in goddamn Arkansas, bitch, guess what? Guess what? You're probably being robbed by a billionaire. White as the day is long and your ass is getting robbed blind. Every time you turn around, you see some video about white people, white extremists, white nationalists and shit like that. And I'll be honest, y'all gonna be mad. I'll be honest. I be feeling so bad for them. Po babies, po tink tinks. Po tink tinks. That's every time. I'm not being funny. I'm being dead ass. I've been watching videos about white nationalists, neo-Nazis, the mafia for 20 years. And no matter how violent they are, no matter how off the chain they are, every time I see that shit, I'm like, po babies, po tink tinks. Because they is all the way off. They all the way off they rocker. The basis behind their philosophy is ludicrous at best. It is obvious they do not study history, their own history, because the majority of them say the same thing. We just concerned about the white race and we want to see the white race exist and this and that and this. How long white people been on the planet, boo? They've been up on here for a long time. Y'all gonna be all right. Just because black people exist don't mean fortunately, don't mean every melanated motherfucker is after your women. One. Two, ain't nobody jocking for y'all the way y'all think motherfuckers is jocking for y'all. Ain't nobody paying y'all no mind. If you leave them alone, they will leave you alone. And eventually, in the leaving of each other alone, y'all will form new healthy ideas about who people are without the state in your brain trying to orchestrate some shit that does not exist in the real world. That don't exist. The shit that's in your head is not real, child. It's not real. It's not real. Somebody is planting wicked seeds in your brain and you comply because in your mind, your white skin entitles you to billionaire status, even though your ass is working like a slave, working 40 hours a week, and you got your side hustle on the side, just like everybody else, and your ass can still only afford to live in a trailer in Alabama somewhere. You feel me? And so, and in the absence of their study of their own history, because their history has been so so weirdified. I don't even know how to put it. And like I said, Java Watson, I am not making excuses for white people. 0%. I am not attempting to absolve white people. 0%. I am saying it is our responsibility to learn the truth of what history is, the truth of where this violence comes from, the truth of where this bloodlust comes from, this insatiable lust for war. We have to be deeper than that. We have to be deeper than that. We got to do better than that. We got to do better than that. You feel me? Because we know them. There are white people among the masses of white people who are like, ain't nothing right about this shit. And I do not comply. I don't comply with my bosses. I don't comply with my owners. I don't comply with my teachers. I want to be a rebel out this bitch. You feel me? We know them. They may be few, but we know them. We know them. You feel me? They may very well be the descendants of revolutionary gangster white people who were fighting Rome, who were fighting the Greeks, who were fighting the hostile takeover of their mother clan bloodlines. You feel me? Because Boudica was a gangster bitch. Who are her descendants? Are they alive among us? You feel me? Joan of Arc had bloodlines. She didn't have no kids, but she had people now. She had cousins and nieces and nephews and aunties. They shared blood. Or some of their descendants might have been revolutionary gangster witches like Joan of Arc was. Joan of Arc was a witch where the church was concerned. Why? Because according to her, God talked directly to her. She didn't have to go through no priest. God talked directly to her. Put on this garb like these men so they respect your stilo. Who that sound like? Who that sound like? Where the woman, in order to be taken seriously as a true revolutionary gangster for her beliefs, got to put on men's clothes because y'all don't respect nobody's stilo unless they look like you and dress like you and behave like you. That's the only way you can hear me is if you think I got a penis. You feel me? And so she was like, all right, I got to wear the outfit for the job. So let me put on this armor and get out here and get the business. Who that sound like? A plethora of other women in history, Asian women and African women and white women and Western hemispheric human beings, women who had to dress like men. Lozen was one who had to dress like men to get the job done because otherwise y'all love patriarchy so much, y'all have internalized that shit so much, you will not let your countrywomen be equal contributors to their own liberation in a struggle against goddamn adversary. Just saying. Just saying. You feel me? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I didn't mean to get up on that. But this moment that I just had, now I got to get up off here because I'm tired. Might have to come, but that little diversion, man. I'm just seeing the premature, violent, premature cord severing that these three psychologists attributed to the root or the origin of all mental disease being synonymous as the micro being synonymous with the macro premature. What did I write up in here? The macro premature cord severing is also synonymous with the premature violent cultural severing from the mother clan customs. The macro cord severing, which is the cultural adherence to the mother clan cultural norms and traditions. Through the unending, uninterrupted, violent, premature or severing of the cultural cord to the mother clan and the mother blood traditions. Okay. And is this the cause for everything that ails the planet? Just like these three doctors surmised successfully, that if we can subconsciously, metaphorically reconnect these humans to the mother, will it resolve their mental issues? They were able to successfully take 17 schizophrenics, hospitalized schizophrenics, off medication permanently. We might have to get up in that book, The Search for Oneness. It's very, very scientific. It's a lot of scientific jargon, which is going to require me to do a lot of translation when I read it. But we got so much going on in the world. I just think that might be a little, I don't know, it might be purposeful. It might be a little heady for the daily happenings in the world that we need to be addressing and giving a better understanding to. So we shall see. Anyway, the other book that I would encourage you guys to get is the one I read a little bit from you for you last week, which was Overturning the Culture of Violence. Overturning the Culture of Violence by Penny Hess. Overturning the Culture of Violence. And that was one of the images I was seeing. You see all these people standing around this person that has been set on fire after having been lynched. Why could they stand around and look like that? Because they and their ancestors have been witnessing as a regular daily occurrence, but it was always somebody white on the pyres. It was always somebody female on the pyres. It was always somebody white and female being dismembered or disavowed in public as spectacle. Oh my God. The spectacle becomes necessary to solidify your objectives, to solidify your goals. I got one more thing I got to talk to y'all about just because of what just happened. I said I had to get up off of here, but I got to tell you what happened. And should I say this now? We have to create a spectacle. I've been saying this for some time. I said it at the opening of this video. We have to be perpetually creating spectacle. What am I always talking about? It is about the always. Every word we speak out of our mouth has to be an institution of dual and contending power. Every word we say has to be an institution of dual and contending power, opposing dual and contending power. Everything that we speak is literally dismantling the opposition. Every word becomes an institution of dual and contending power. Every action, every behavior becomes an institution of dual and contending power. And if we are to be creating spectacle that can oppose and contend with our adversary, these stories give us the beginning, give us the information necessary. It's not just enough to go into the dark history. It is, how do we know the history and create its opposition? How do we learn the true history and then directly create its institutional oppositions? Do you understand what I'm saying? How do we create in every single way of our life institutions of dual and contending power? And so I was having a moment last night driving with a knee, writing with a hand, on some paper in the dark while driving, because I was having this whole ass moment about dual and contending power, institutions of dual and contending power. And child, we have to create a spectacle. And I have some ideas about the spectacle that is going to be a thorn in the side of probably everybody that hears it. They're going to be like, this bitch done lost her whole ass mind. But those of you following up on here are going to see the extremely obnoxious genius in the spectacle. And it's gonna be a I mean, all the way back, not just today, not just today. I'm like, we have to be caught, because I'm always talking. Are you talking as a reactionary? Are you speaking as a reactionary? Or are you speaking as a creator? Are you speaking as an innovator? Are you speaking as an innovator? Are you speaking as the true creative force that you are, or are you talking as a reactionary? All you're doing is reacting. All you're doing is reacting and responding, reacting and responding. You are giving power away when you do that. You are not setting the standard. You are not creating the new. You are responding to the dying and damn near dead old. That's all you're doing is reacting to a force whose jig is already up, whose time is already done. And you keeping it alive every time you breathe life into it. Every time you open your mouth to use your precious ashe to breathe life into that is already dead. You can breathe life into that shit. You can. Every time you recite a narrative that is not yours, oh my God, did you hear what Trump did today? This scary. What we gonna do? You got to make sure you go to the polls. What have I been saying for 9 months? 9 months. Let's see. Yeah, almost 9 months. For 7 months. Because y'all, a lot of y'all was mad at me. I know you was, because I made my public declarations. I did not go to them polls to vote for Kamala. And if you mad about it, fuck you. That's my position. Fuck you. I'm grown. I'm 50. I can make purely informed decisions for myself about where I will yield power, who I will yield power to. And it wasn't that bitch. It wasn't that bitch. And wasn't nothing none of you motherfuckers was going to say that was going to convince me otherwise. I do not care. First of all, she is as dumb as a box of rocks, silly as all hell. Now, whether she deliberately dumb because they employ instruments of weaponized and strategic incompetence, they make a bitch look incompetent so that you are not fearful of them, to soften you up. Oh, every time this woman spoke, I was just like, oh Lord, is this what it has come to? That on the world stage, this girl is giggling and perpetually acting like her ass smoked a joint before every interview. Why is this what we have come to? The way she laughed, I just want to yoke. I just want to yoke her up. I've never wanted to yoke somebody up so bad. That this is what you gonna put. Not only her, it is not lost on me that she and Karen Bass were occupying these high positions at the same time, being put forward as these two black adjacent women. Because even though Karen Bass is black, she very, very, very yellowish. And she very, very, very spineless. She don't act like a sister who grew up in Compton. She don't. She don't act like a sister who was born and raised in Compton. That Millie Mouse. Well, we are just offended by what ICE has done. I'm like, where does bitch backbone at? Where is her outrage? We are just so disappointed in how the administration. Ooh. It is not lost on me that these two black women, both representing the state of California. I just heard a statistic the other day that blew my whole wig, peeled my whole wig back. The mathematics did not even compute in a way that I could make sense. That one in nine Americans of the whole almost 400 million Americans that live in the United States, 1 out of every 9 Americans live in the state of California. 1 out of every 9 Americans live in California. 1 in every 38 Americans. Listen to what I'm just saying now. 1 in every 38 Americans. 1 out of every 38 of the whole 333 million population of the United States. 1 out of every 38 people in this country live in Los Angeles County. Y'all, them is mind-blowing numbers. Them is mind-numbing to comprehend numbers. 1 in every 9 people that live in this country live in California. 1 in every 38 live in Los Angeles County. You talk about 2 black bitches in a state, California, has the fourth largest economy on the planet. Not of every state, not of, quote, on the whole planet Earth. On the whole planet Earth. If California was a country by itself, California has the fourth largest economy on the planet, behind Japan. You understand what I'm saying? And for the first time, the two faces of media in the airways for all of this time, black bitches that is representing the fourth largest economy on the planet, are two Negro adjacent, black skin adjacent, black skin kind of sorta black women who are the face of capitulation, who become the spineless, weaselly, fucking gross. Both of them have degrees. This girl was the state attorney general, acting like a babbling fool every time she's interviewed anywhere she goes. Fucking weirdo. Ooh. Ooh. That weird, I don't know what she be doing with her body language. Why she be doing that? Like she got physical Tourette's or some shit. Freaking weirdo. I don't believe that. I don't believe that, Yolanda. I believe that she is a conscious, willing participant in the fucking ambitions of the state. The girl is an agent of the state. She did exactly what the state paid her to do. Be just friendly enough for the black women to follow you to the polls. She was the goddamn Pied Piper for black bitches. That's what her role was. That was her scene in the play, child. Is to be the goofy line dancing with the marching band, twerking, fucking weirdo. Chuck Taylor wearing black culture cosplaying weirdo. I speak just a little bit Southern when I go to talk to the people in Arkansas. And girl, let me tell you, I intend to, when she going talking to a room full of educated black women, degree holding black women, and you all of a sudden hood bitch. She was the Pied Piper that walked all these goddamn progressive ass women right to the motherfucking polls to vote against their self-interest. That's what she did. And I bought the shit hook, line, and sinker. So don't nobody be mad at me, because this girl within the last 48 hours has made a whole ass fool of herself. Because I've been telling y'all for 7 months. I was like, haven't I been going off about that? Y'all went out to the polls and voted for that dumbass girl, dumbass appearing. So let me not mix messages. She is not stupid. She was playing the role. She was playing the character of stupid. She was playing the character of weaponized incompetence. She's not stupid. Just like I told y'all don't want to hear it because y'all so easily relinquish these words on the people that almost like give them a pass. Biden, they just showed another video of this nigga today. What was he doing? He was supposed to be doing a speech somewhere, and old man shuffling like he don't know where to go. Old man shuffling to the stage to make his little acceptance speech, and he would just stop mid-sentence and look around the room because he just what was I saying? Oh yeah. But wait a minute. He only did one term. The nigga was only president for 4 years. You understand what I'm saying? He was only president for 4 years. And if you go back to look at his campaign trail speeches, he had his chest poked out. He had his bass voice on. You feel me? Oh, well, this is how I have contributed to black people. And if you don't vote for me, then you ain't really black. Now is you? Oh, he had all the bass in his voice when he wanted to shame y'all into going to the polls to vote for his ass, his child molesting, sexual predator ass. And y'all ignored all of that shit. Y'all ignored his tendencies because anything but Trump, and Biden, 6 months, y'all talking about Trump and what Trump done did in that first 6 months. But what about what Biden did with his beloved Kamala? In the first 6 months of his, hell, he didn't even wait 6 months, child. February, he had us walked up into 2 aggressions. 2 months in February of Biden's first year, child. He walked us right up into the action with Ukraine and Russia. And not 5 months later, October 7th. Oh, but y'all conveniently forget that because he was wearing a blue coat when he did it instead of a red one. And so when he relinquishes his title as the Democratic nominee for the presidency, and all he had to do was put his negress forward, y'all completely ignored that you were in an active aggression that was bleeding the country of $88 billion just for the Ukraine thing, and another $180 billion for this thing in the Middle East, Israel and Palestine. Where you think them billions of dollars came from? They just ranked out the sky? They just created fake fiat to send over there? No, they bled your ass dry. Every dime sent to them places was generated by your blood, sweat, and tears and your buying habits. Every penny. That's what your Kamala was not innocent. Well, you know, Kamala don't really have nothing to do with the policies laid down by Biden. Are y'all crazy? Have y'all lost y'all entire skull? Have y'all lost y'all entire skull? Have y'all forgotten that she married to a Zionist? Have y'all forgotten the millions of dollars that were contributed to her camp? Not just the money that y'all generated, y'all black women. Not just that money. Millions of dollars of contributions from pro-Israeli Zionist organizations. So now she in the news. And I've been going off. Ever since y'all ran to them polls, y'all want to shame everybody about voting for Kamala, who didn't vote for Kamala, or who said, I don't participate in no bullshit and so-called electoral process that always benefits one group at the expense of another. Whether them people wear blue or whether they wear red, don't matter. You feel me? And I've been saying ever since y'all ran out to them polls, where y'all Kamala at? Why she quiet? Why she quiet? Where she at? Y'all out here still jockeying for Kamala 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months later. But I did the right thing. I voted. Every time some shit pop off, that's y'all response. Yeah, I did the right thing. I voted for Kamala. Every time some shit pop off that ain't got nothing to do with her ass, because her ass been ghost since she lost that election. Her ass been ghost. Mum's the word. Mum's the word. And it all have I not been saying for literally every month? Stop talking about Kamala, because that bitch ain't thinking about y'all at all. She ain't thinking about y'all. She ain't. Thank you. I played my role. I got paid. Deuces. I'm out of here. And so they showed this video of her, like that little bullshit that I guess people be doing on TikTok, where they not talking to themselves. Who said that? She did that. She did that. Well, people really be thinking that she went, on an island and she just been drinking margaritas and chilling since the election. Who said that? Who said that? Right? And then when she say that, she said, "No, I haven't been sitting on an island drinking margaritas. I've been writing a book." The first time in 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 10 months. She wants to say something to y'all. It's about go out here and buy my book. I said, God, oh Lord, is this real life, child? This the first word this girl done said to y'all in 10 months. No press conferences, no press releases, nothing. No thank you niggas for raising this money. No, mom's the word. Like this girl, the literally evaporated off the planet. And then the next time you hear from her is some goofy interview where she like, they heard that I was sipping margaritas on the island. Who said that? No, I haven't. I've been writing a book. And then when the interviewer, he's like, well, what's he asking her some penetrating questions about the book? She is like, that ain't what I'm talking about in my book. The book is more personal. I think my husband gonna have an attitude when he read what's finally in my... Jesus, please come and get your people already. Can we be done with this already? Please. Just please. Can the rapture happen already, please, Jesus? Can you just come get your people now? Please, Jesus, just hurry up already. Just hurry up. They want you to come back. We heathens in the world, we want you to come back. Come and scoop your peoples. This shit is exhausting. Come get your people now, man. Now this shit too much. Come and get your motherfucking peoples, child. Come get your peoples. Because this is too much. Java wants to say heathen. Yes. You understand? Come get your peoples. Come get your peoples. I'm not going live on TikTok no more. I ain't doing this no more. I would just have to do like I'm gonna have to do like what I was doing on TikTok, just doing clips and uploading them. But I'm not gonna go on. I'm not gonna go on live on TikTok no more because yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm gonna just have to use TikTok to do like, like the lot, just clips and stuff, because it's annoying. But anyway, child, after all that time and all y'all devotion and loyalty to that weirdo, our ass came out and was like, who said that? Ooh, I was so disgusting. First of all, disgusting, disrespectful. She playing in your face and you here for it. Playing in your face and you here for it. Karen Bass. I've never been so humiliated. But you know what? I can't think of too many black women in office right now that are like, that I would be like, yep, she really about that life. Not one. Somebody gonna be mad. But your negress sitting on the Supreme, she got her little dreads in her hair and her little cowrie shell earrings and necklace on. That girl married to a Zionist. She there for show, child. She ain't putting up no fight up in the Supreme Court. Not when they talking about walking every single solitary law back that got yourself what you think is some semblance of freedom up in this joint. Yes, I'm eating a watermelon. My neighbor, a sweet little Hispanic dude who is just sweet for no reason, just nice for no reason. He came and he was like, I have half a watermelon. It was too much for me by myself. Would you like half a watermelon? I said, oh my God, yes, I would. And it has seeds in it too. I was like, yes, sir, I will sure take that half a watermelon right off your hands. I sure will. Every now and again, like he came over one day. He was just a sweet little old man. Came over one day, he barely speaks English. He came over one day and bought a big old bag of food for my cats. I was like, this is so sweet. Why you do that? You love my cats. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, as I was saying. Yes, her too. Claudia Ankara, assume them all. Assume them all. Because in this day and age, being black and having a uterus is not enough to convince me that you stand for us. And if you black and female in a position of power and you ain't staging no opposition, I already know who you is. And your opposition is phony. Let me clarify. Your opposition is based on respectability politics. Give them exactly what they looking for. That's what I say. Everything that you get shamed about, give them looking for, bitch. What you got to lose versus what you got to gain. What do you have to lose versus what you have to gain? Give them what they looking for. That display Karen Bass put on when Trump came to the city during the fires, I was like, this monstrous human being, this monstrous, complicit coward. And that was deliberate, by the way. What she did, what she said, how she behaved, how she carried herself, it was deliberate. It was deliberate. I know. Now, there may be some women, black women, in positions of power who ain't straight up turncoats. I am hardcore about my position on the state. Even if you start with good intentions, the machine is going to gobble your ass up. That's my personal position. And so when I see black women talking all calm, cool, and collected because they expect us to behave a certain way and we cannot prove them right. So we have to be methodical and deliberate about how we carry and present ourselves in these spaces where power reigns supreme. Blah, 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 blah. This ain't the day. That might have been strategically necessary in the 1950s and 1960s. Well, our great ancestors like Shirley Chisholm, dark-skinned woman, entering into places of power where her very safety relied on the ability for her to communicate in a way that they could hear past her black skin. Okay, fine. Today is not that day. And we see exactly where decades of compliance to respectability politics ain't won us nothing. As a matter of fact, it's walked back so much progress gained by our great ancestresses. Today is not the day for respectability politics. As a matter of fact, if you're going to enter in spaces of power, if you are going to enter into institutions where power is being hog-tied in the hands of the few, you better go up in there with what's them things? With men be busting up concrete, busting up foundations to build something new. What they call a sledge? It's not a sledgehammer. What is that? It's like loud. It's like, but they just chiseling down into the concrete. If you ain't going up into these institutions of power, dismantling the very jackhammer, thank you, If you are in word and in action, not going up into not trying to rescue a dying system. If you ain't going up in there, oh, somebody said something yesterday. What did she say? Because let me tell you what had happened, and it's so poignant right now. Look at this. I went to that AA portal thing, and this young white girl, y'all know her. This young white girl, cute, came and sat down next to me, and she was like, I've been wanting to meet you for so long. I said, okay. I said, I don't understand. She said, I've been following your channel for 2 years. I said, oh, shoot, that's awesome. I said, what's your name on YouTube? Y'all gonna know her because she been up on here for a long time. Super B Flesh. Super B Flesh. Y'all see her all the time on the comment section. Super B Flesh. Here I am. I was like, because the name is dope. I was like, okay, Super B Flesh. I'm thinking it's a sister from somewhere. It is a 26-year-old white girl, very thin, waifish looking white girl. She's like, I have been wanting to meet you for so long. I'm so glad you're here. Right? We talked for a long time. She is dope. I had a great time talking to this young girl. She blew my mind a little bit. Y'all. Well, let me tell you what she said. She's an astrologer. A very dope, cool ass astrologer, by the way. But she was telling me she has been very frustrated when meeting other astrologers here in LA because of this approach that's still very patriarchally centered in astrology. And so the advice that they give is most of the time fucked up because that's still their frame of reference is the greatness of Europe and the historical significance of Europe and right? She said, so I find myself telling astrologers that I meet that what did she say? Oh, I said I was gonna take that. I said, I'm just letting you know I'm jacking your shit. She was like, please use it, please use it. She said, as an astrologer, we don't, what did she say? She said, we do not need people who are upholding the old ideas of astrology. She said, right now, what astrology needs is professional demolitionists. I said, oh my God. Specialists in demolition. That's what she said. We need specialists in demolition. I said, oh. I said, girl, I'm using that. I said, I'm using it. She said, yes, use it. We need professionals in demolition. She said, because you cannot build, is what I'm saying all the time. This shit gotta go. It's got to be razed to the ground. She said, what's the point? Oh, she was talking specifically about friends of hers who are in the industry in LA. A lot of them are actors or writers. They're in the movie industry. They're in the film industry. And she said, I've been reading a lot of people who are in the industry lately, and a lot of them are complaining like, what do I need to do to function better in the film industry or to make better money in the film industry? And she has found herself saying more and more and more, the only way you are going to have the life that you want to have inside the film industry in Hollywood is to dismantle the film industry as it is. What can you create as a creator, as a writer, as a script writer, as a producer, as a director? What can you create that completely destroys what is? And it's so radical that people are just drawn to it. Like, yes, this is fresh. This is awesome. She said, so I'm telling these people who are in the industry, you have to be a professional demolitionist. I said, God damn. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's across the board. It is the exact thing that I am always saying when I talk about being a conscious creator of the world that we want to see made real. Simultaneously, what are we saying in our conspiracy? We are her axe. We are her torch. We are her fiery arrows. We are her machete, her seas. We are her storm. We are her rage. And we are her creative potential. Her ability to generate from seemingly nothing. Her ability to completely resurrect from the ashes of the old. Baby, I love it when y'all be out here listening, because that young girl had me bloat. She had me bloat. She had me blown out there. This is the period for a spectacle creation. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. We'll pick up where we left off tonight, tomorrow. If you need a reading, tomorrow's a great day, because we stationed direct from this Mercury retrograde we were just in. So if you need a reading, let me know. I take the first period tomorrow at the first time slot at 11 a.m. Email me and I will send you the rest of the schedule for this week. But yeah, we'll pick up tomorrow where we left off tonight in the reading around sex, and then we'll go straight into the book of Revelations, because it's going to be a good one. All right. Good night. Love you all. Appreciate y'all for riding out with me. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Mommy and I are one.